Our eyes were drawn in the build-up to Declan Rice practicing a succession of free kicks from similar distances from where he struck twice against Real Madrid on Tuesday. Andy Reid alongside me, who knows how to take a free kick in the Premier League. And Andy, out of the 5 we watched him, none of them went anywhere near the net. They all flew into the crowd.
Yeah, he's keeping them for the game. As soon as the whistle blows, that's when you really come alive. But they were incredible free kicks the other night, that's for sure.
There is still a buzz about this place from that win. I mean, not just a victory, emphatic victory against Real Madrid. And there's almost a party atmosphere in here. It doesn't really feel like Arsenal are clinging on to a title race or any of those sort of nerves. It's more of a bit of happiness, realising there's a big game to come in midweek. Liverpool, who require a maximum of 11 points in their final 7 games to win their 20th title. Arsenal could cut the gap to 8 points today. You know, if you look back over the last 6 games, Arsenal have dropped 9 points over 6 games. The gap could be 8 by the end of it. It just shows, you know, as much as Liverpool have run away with the title, Arsenal have allowed them to do so in terms of their pursuit, as Jan Eltier plays it forward for the first time for Brentford, and Saliba touches the ball back to David Raya. 5 changes for Mikel Arteta today from the team that started against Real Madrid. Both fullbacks are rotated. Big day for Kieran Tierney. He comes in for his first Premier League start in almost 2 years. Zinchenko comes into the team. Partey drops to right back. There are rests for Odegaard, Saka and Marino ahead of Real Madrid's second leg. And in today, Trossard, Jorginho and Waneri. Arsenal are wearing their red and white. Brentford in their change trip, which is a very dark shade of green with more lime-coloured socks. David Raya, the Arsenal goalkeeper, not to clash with those socks, has had to change his outfit, so he looks a bit uncoordinated away to our left-hand side. Bright yellow shirt and then black shorts and socks. Brentford have a free kick near the halfway line. Arsenal 0, Brentford 0. 5 Live and BBC Sounds at the Emirates, where it's been a lovely sunny day throughout the afternoon here in North London. And Mark Flecken, the Brentford goalkeeper, has come almost up to the halfway line to take this. He plays it long into the Arsenal penalty area, where it bounces harmlessly out for a goal kick. What do you make of this, Andy? Obviously there is a big distraction coming up in midweek in Madrid for Arsenal. Do Brentford see that as an opportunity today?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they'll be coming here, you know, thinking there's going to be a few eyes on that Real Madrid game for some of these Arsenal players. But we still know that Arsenal have that real quality. What I'm interested to see is, can they bring the intensity? I thought they were incredible in and out of possession against Real Madrid. The tempo, the intensity, how they went after the ball, some of the football they played, line-breaking passes, positionally and tactically, I thought they were excellent. So can they bring that today with the 5 changes that they've made? Can they keep that momentum moving forward? There's still a hell of a lot of quality out on that pitch for Arsenal.
Brentford's away form has been very good lately. Today looking for their 6th win in 7 Premier League away games. There was a foul there by by Waneri on Damsgaard. Mikel Damsgaard, who only Mo Salah has had more assists in the Premier League this season. He's been the main creative force for Brentford this campaign. 0-0 here in the early stages. What about Ireland against England in Cork in the Women's Six Nations? Adam Whitty.
Where England need Ireland by 7 points to 5, but they've arguably been second best in Cork. Amy Lee Costigan with the try for Ireland. Morwella Talling hitting back. The conversion giving England a slender lead, but the England players are out on the field with their own huddle at the break, which tells you how that first half has gone. Ireland 5, England 7 at half-time.
Thanks, Adam. If you want to watch the second half of that game, it is available on BBC Two television. Here on 5 Live at the Emirates, it's a throw-in for Arsenal. Kieran Tierney to take it. Arsenal with Raya in goal. Partey, Saliba, Kivior and Tierney the back 4. Jorginho, Rice and Zinchenko the midfield 3. And Waneri, Trossard and Martinelli the front 3. The Brentford team with Mark Flecken in goal. Ayer, Collins, Van der Berg and Lewis Potter their defence. Norgard alongside Janelt in the midfield. In Boomer wide right, Shadow wide left, Damsgaard in the hole behind Joanna Visser. David Raya's got to come out of his penalty area to take this Arsenal free kick, and Brentford all take a few steps back. They know that this is more than likely going to come long.
I just think in these type of positions here, Arsenal need to try and play as much as they possibly can. If you look at Nathan Collins and Van der Berg, who's heading the ball right now, going up against Trossard, it's going to be very, very difficult. Trossard playing in that false nine kind of position that Marino has been playing in, with Martinelli off the left and Nwaneri off the right hand side. There's a hell of a lot of technical ability in that front line, but not a lot of physicality.
I mentioned of Mikel Merino, who was out on the pitch ahead of kick-off, and he received a little trophy as Arsenal's Player of the Month for March. So he's having to play out of position, but he is still standing out amongst his teammates. The Spaniard. 5 minutes played here at the Emirates. Brentford goalkeeper Mark Flecken has possession at his feet away to our right-hand side. He's been busy this season, Flecken. Most saves of all Premier League goalkeepers this campaign. Gives it out to Lewis Potter on the left-hand side. Damsgaard tries to return a 1-2. Thomas Partey had fouled Lewis Potter in his attempts to get there, and that is a free kick to Brentford, left full-back position for them.
Yeah, you know, when we look at Brentford and how they play and what they try and do, you know, there's no frills about it. You know, tactically it's basic enough, but it's really, really effective. They don't like to keep the ball along the back line too much. They like to break lines. Sometimes they've got no problem going into them channels or going a little bit longer for Wissa and Bueno, Xhadi to really kind of latch onto them, and they're really, really good at picking up second balls. So I expect to see a lot of balls going forward to test this Arsenal back line this evening.
Arsenal, who beat Brentford 3-1 back on New Year's Day at the GTEC Community Stadium. Brian Mbeumo actually gave Brentford the lead that day, but Arsenal came back to win. Goals from Gabriel Jesus, Marino and Gabriel Martinelli, as Declan Rice wins a header here near the halfway line, gives it to Kivior. Slightly soft pass into the midfield, pounced upon by Norgard, so Brentford get it back. Damsgaard ahead of Wissa, who's taken up a position on the left-hand side here, dragging Saliba out to join him. Wissa tries to send it back into the middle. Good work from Norgard to get there ahead of Declan Rice. Janelt chips into the penalty area. Norgard difficult to control, but he does help it onto Mbeumo. This is Brentford pressure early in the game at the Emirates on 5 Live. And BBC Sounds as Mbeumo sends in a left-footed cross towards Damsgaard, and the much taller Thomas Partey wins the header, but still Brentford come again. It was knocked forward by Vandenberg and eventually back into the arms of David Raya, who's drilled a clearance down the field that almost became an assist-worthy pass from Martinelli, but Christopher Eyre was able to make a very important interception. That was some clearance from David Raya.
Yeah, it was. He nearly got it through to Martinelli, but it was really good play from Brentford. They worked the move really well. Wissa making that run into that inside left channel. He checks back. There's some really good interlinking play and ends up out the far side with Bueno, who whips a really good ball in. Unfortunately, from a Brentford perspective, they just couldn't get anybody on the end of it, but it's been quite a frantic start to the game, I would say. There's been a lot of duelling in the central area, a lot of kind of loose passes, a couple of sloppy ones. Nobody has really kind of got hold of the play yet.
Arsenal 0, Brentford 0. A reminder that this is the first weekend of semi-automated offsides in the Premier League, so hopefully we won't have to talk about that too often. As Trossard is challenged by Norgard in the middle. Let's get up a shadow in the midfield to win back possession for Brentford. Jorginho slides in on Wissa. But Brentford have made a sturdy stuff. They hold on to possession in the midfield. Norgard tried to spin it out to Mbeumo and slightly too heavily struck. It sails over the head of his teammate and out for an Arsenal throw.
There's a lot of bodies in that central area. You know, you try and control the ball and there's 2 men around you. That's why we're seeing a lot of turnovers in the early part of the game.
Christian Norgard, who was well able to make a tackle in the midfield. I was looking at the stats for the season earlier on this morning, and only Moise Caicedo of Chelsea has won more possession in the midfield this season of all Premier League midfielders than Christian Norgard has. Arsenal have possession. Kivior getting a run in the team because Gabriel, of course, is still out injured. Jorginho with the bright yellow boots today, the Italian international, plays it to Thomas Partey on the right-hand side. Brentford have got everyone back in defensive positions. Here's Declan Rice into the penalty area. Well picked out by Partey. Nwaneri looks for the gap, nearly gets the shot away. Janelt was standing up ahead of him, and it ricocheted off another Brentford player before Mbeumo cleared it away on the right-hand side. That's the first proper attempt at goal from Arsenal today.
Yeah, it was really well worked on this right-hand side. Partey getting involved, Nwaneri getting involved. as you see Arsenal coming forward again.
Into the penalty area, Gabriel Martinelli, saved by Flecken, and Arsenal get their first corner of the day.
That's where you know, for a neutral, when you watch Arsenal with that free-flowing football, they get people running into them inside channels, good combination play centrally, really difficult to defend, and then you get that third man run. Martinelli, he couldn't quite just get it across the goal, and it was good save in the end.
Arsenal's first attacking set piece of the day, just a few days after Declan Rice scored those 2 free kicks against Real Madrid. Rice being applauded as he walks out to the corner flag to take this set piece. As usual, all of the Arsenal players are loitering back post from where this is going to arrive, but we know they will disperse, they will sprint into more central locations as this ball comes in from Rice, and he plays it actually short to the edge of the box. Martinelli scoops it in, that's a great delivery. Thomas Partey back across the face of goal, and Norgard, it came off him awkwardly, but no Arsenal player there to capitalise, and it becomes an acceptable back pass, not an intentional pass, back to the goalkeeper so he can pick it up.
Yeah, we're used to Arsenal putting them balls into the box, whether it be near post or far post, them curled soft balls, but they mix it up this time. They play it short, well walked to the edge of the box, and then it's across to the back post. Partey knocks it across the goal. I don't know where the Arsenal attackers are. They haven't really followed in, and it ended up being a comfortable enough clearance in the end.
Arsenal's set-piece coach Nicolas Jover has become a real celebrity this season, isn't he? All the goals they've scored from corners. Apparently his instruction onto the field on Tuesday for both free kicks for Declan Rice was dink it into the box. and Declan Rice chose to ignore those suggestions.
I've seen the clip of it, and he's clearly saying cross the ball. It just goes to show you what do us coaches know, eh?
That's the voice of Andy Reid watching this game with us here at the Emirates. 11 minutes on the big stadium clock, 0-0 between Arsenal and Brentford so far. Earlier on today, Manchester City came from behind to beat Crystal Palace 5-2. There was a draw between Brighton and Leicester. Leicester finally getting on the score sheet after a long drought. Late winner in the 94th minute for Everton away at the City Ground, beating Forest by 1-0. And another defeat for Southampton today. Already relegated Southampton lost 3-0 at home against Aston Villa.
Tactically, it's interesting here. Raya's got the ball, and Brentford have gone 3v3 up the top end, and then when Trossard comes really deep, Nathan Collins comes really deep with him, and Vandenberg is already in there with Zinchenko, so 2 of the centre-backs have gone right into the middle of the pitch, in around the centre circle. It leaves a big hole. Arsenal will be looking to exploit that if they can.
Brentford have won it back here in the midfield. Vitaly Janelt, who's the one change in the starting team for Thomas Frank today, getting possession there. One change from the 0-0 draw against Chelsea last weekend. As Keane Lewis Potter up from left back here has reached a crossing position on the left hand side. Nice little ball into Damsgaard, back to Lewis Potter, tried to return it a second time, but Thomas Partey intercepted, and out it goes for Brentford's first corner of the day. Still 0-0.
We spoke about Brentford out of possession there and how they were really aggressive with the position, and once that ball does get played out, they then have the ability to be able to go tight, and they can get close, they can win the ball back in the middle area, and that's what created that opportunity in the wide area. Lewis Potter done really well, good little 1-2, and he wins his team a corner. We know that Brentford are dangerous from set pieces. Arsenal are good at them as well, but Brentford, they can most definitely score from set pieces.
Damsgaard to take. It is left hand side of the field as Brentford come forward. They're playing right to left as we look down in their dark green. Damsgaard raises his right hand as a signal. Here it comes, low towards the front post, and almost falling down to his knees. Zinchenko only half clears it away, so it comes back out to Damsgaard. Better cross the second time towards the back post, where it's well won in the air by Thomas Partey. And now Arsenal are away. Charge of the Light Brigade as they try to come on the counter. Martinelli's touch was ever so fractionally off, and Mbeumo's able to intercept. He tried in full gallop there. Martinelli tried to just flick it on into his path, and he didn't quite get the touch he was hoping for.
Yeah, that was a good battle between two wingers there, wasn't it? And Mbeumo stuck to his task really well there. Martinelli tried to skip past him, open his legs up, but it's two quick wingers there, and that was a good battle. I enjoyed that, but Brentford need to be careful because the delivery was poor from the set piece, and they didn't look as secure as they would have liked on the transition, and Arsenal broke really quickly.
Still 0-0 here. Liverpool play tomorrow. They are against West Ham. It's a 2 o'clock game. You can listen to that here on 5 Live. If both of the top two keep winning, then Liverpool would win the title at Chelsea on May 4th. That's assuming Liverpool win all their games, Arsenal win all their games. Saliba here backtracking has got a head start on Mbeumo, and he's able to touch the ball back to David Raya. The earliest that Liverpool could be crowned champions could be as early as next week. That would be if Liverpool win their next 2 games, and if Arsenal were only to pick up a point or fewer from their next 2 games. So it could all be over very soon. Waneri attacking down the right hand side for Arsenal here, takes on Keane Lewis Potter. Good defending by Lewis Potter there, got his body in between Waneri and the ball, and then was able to put on the brakes and shield it, and crucially didn't touch it, so it's a goal kick for Brentford, 0-0.
Yeah, Lewis Potter has defended really well there, but I've got no issues with that from Waneri at all. You want them to go on the front foot, you want them to be positive, little step over, trying to go on the outside. I was a little bit worried about how the tempo of this game might be, because I thought Brentford would be happy enough for it to be slow enough and, you know, maybe take the sting out of the game a little bit, and what would Arsenal be like after that game the other night. But the game has started with a real tempo. It's been end to end, there's been some good football played, and it's been really competitive.
Shadow wins a header, tried to flick it down for Wissa, and Kivior's on hand to nudge the ball back to David Raya. Quarter of an hour played in North London, 0-0 between Arsenal and Brentford. Thomas Partey just flicks it away from Damsgaard, gets a smattering of applause from the Arsenal fans. Here's Declan Rice on the halfway line. He got a huge roar, Declan Rice, when he came out for the warm-up, when his name was announced over the tannoy. What a week he's had, absolute Roy the Rover stuff, as Waneri here touches the ball back to Partey. Arsenal just getting a feel of it here in the midfield, trying to develop more of a tempo in the match. Jorginho back to William Saliba. Saliba, who has scored a goal against Brentford in the past, as comes out to Kivior here on the left-hand side, and no real urgency here from Arsenal to pump the ball forward. Let's get an update from the Super League. Warrington Wolves against Hull FC. Here's Ian Chisnell.
First blood to the visitors. Matty Ashton knocked on, Rapana fed, Tom Briscoe wide out. He danced in at the corner. Will Price couldn't convert. Warrington 0, Hull FC 4.
Thanks very much, Ian. Trossard drops the shoulder on Damsgaard and glides past him here. Zinchenko plays the ball back in from the right wing. Thomas Partey now in a more central location as Brentford pull everyone back within 15 yards or so of the penalty area that they are defending. Jorginho's picked it up in a pocket of space. Good ball into the area, but Martinelli wasn't quite ready to receive it. That was a clever ball from Jorginho, but Brentford are able to clear it away. Andy Reid.
Really intricate play by Arsenal. They're starting to dominate the territory now, looking for them line-breaking passes. The positions of Zinchenko and Declan Rice are becoming really difficult to pick up, and Trossard is roaming everywhere, and the centre-backs are struggling about whether they should go in tight with him. When they go in tight with him, there's a runner into the space that they've just left behind.
Saliba plays the ball out to Waneri here on the right-hand side. 11 men back behind the ball for Brentford here. This is inside the half of the field the visitors are defending. Waneri wandering into a central location, gives it back to Jakub Kivior, who's now started 4 of the last 6 games in all competitions. Polish internationals picked a good ball to Tierney here, just outside the penalty area. Trossard tries to keep it moving. Awkward touch from him. The pass was ever so slightly behind him. Shana's going to try and sprint off in a one-man counter-attack, but William Saliba sweeps across and shuts that down. Arsenal 0, Brentford 0 on 5 Live.
Yeah, Brentford know that there's going to be periods in this game where they're going to have to defend their own box. We've seen it there. 11 men behind the ball, saying to Arsenal, come on, break us down if you can. Now, when Arsenal then start to commit both the full-backs forward, the 2-8s have gone really high. Jorginho's stepping in and he's linking the play as well. It does leave opportunities at the end for Sade and from Vaimon Wissa to try and make them runs in behind. So Saliba had to be on his guard there, because if he wasn't, Sade could have got in.
Throw in to Brentford on the right hand side. Christopher takes it in towards Norgard. It's fallen nicely for Norgard here. Declan Rice though back to get a key touch, and Arsenal regain possession. Thomas Partey in the right full back position. 0-0, 18 minutes played. Damsgaard does well to stun the attempts of Partey to break into the Brentford half, and Arsenal turn and roll it all back to David Raya once again. Raya well outside of his penalty area here. Former Brentford player, of course, David Raya, won promotion up to the Premier League with them in the past. Saliba here drops his shoulder and goes around Damsgaard. That's very good, and he's got Partey outside him in a crossing position. Opportunity this for Arsenal. Here it comes, decent ball played in, but maybe this is where Arsenal lack that natural number 9. There's no one on the end of it. Good delivery from Partey as Ayer takes no chances and puts it out for a corner.
More good play from Arsenal down this right hand side, link it really well. Saliba ends up stepping in and he plays a good ball out to Partey. It was a decent delivery and it was into a really good area, but like you mentioned, there's nobody really with that physicality or that physical presence who wants to go and head the ball for Arsenal. They're more of a technical based team. They want to create them triangles, they want to link and combine centrally.
So corner to Arsenal, which Waneri is about to take. What a season he's had, what opportunities he's been given. Today his 22nd Premier League appearance for Ethan Waneri. He only turned 18 last month, and he is going to take this corner, short run up he's preparing. Again, all his colleagues are at the back post from where this is going to arrive. Zinchenko is offering himself as a short corner option, should Waneri be interested. Here he comes, two-step run up, does roll it short too. Alexander Zinchenko, now back to the edge of the box to Jorginho. Martinelli's in that area too, back to Zinchenko, intricate build-up from Arsenal here, back to Jorginho again, low ball into the box, won back by Norgard, protected by Mbeumo, and Damsgaard should be able to clear it away here, but his attempted clearance comes off his teammate Janelt, and eventually the ball goes out of play for a throw into Arsenal. Brentford finding it difficult to clear their lines there.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how it plays out with these corner kicks, because we've been so used to Arsenal putting them in the box. The first two that they've had in this game, they've played them short. I'm assuming that they've looked at both of the sides, they've looked at how big Brentford can be, and looked at the players that they've got on the pitch themselves, and think it's more beneficial to be able to walk in opening, try and create some of them kind of high triangles, try and get into them spaces just inside the box, and maybe some cutbacks.
Declan Rice loses control of it on the edge of the Brentford penalty area. Brentford tried to counter-attack up to Mbeumo, but sliding in, Jakub Kiwior puts the ball out for a throw-in right between the two technical areas down below us. Thomas Frank, who's got the sleeves rolled up above the elbows, piece of white paper in his hand, sparkling white shoes on as he watches play, and he watches his team play it towards the edge of the Arsenal penalty area. Damsgaard is going to pick up a loose clearance here. There's an opportunity for Brentford as Mbeumo collects, and he's played a lovely ball for Ajer. Shooting position, good save from Ajer. Christopher Ajer made a charging, thundering run up from right back there, and although the angle was ever so slightly tight, it was a good opportunity, and Raya, as he's been doing all season, makes a very good save.
Best opportunity of the game so far, and it was brilliantly worked by Brentford. Damsgaard, he pinged a great ball out wide to Mbeumo, who waited and he delayed, and it gave Ajer the chance to rake that run up the inside channel. Probably just fell to the wrong person from a Brentford perspective, but a really good move, really good bit of positivity for Brentford. They needed it because they've been on the back foot for maybe the last 6 or 7 minutes.
Christopher Ajer, who hasn't scored this season, he's got a total of 3 Premier League goals in Brentford colours in the past. Throw in from Shada here is instantly repelled as Martinelli clears it up towards Trossard. Good control, then Janelt comes across to challenge him, and Brentford get it back and roll it all the way back to the goalkeeper Flecken. Arsenal 0, Brentford 0 here on 5 Live. Back to the Halliwell Jones Stadium. Ian Chisnell.
Hull FC running hot, a second try. Davy Litton touching down near the sticks on a last tackle play. Will Price converted. Warrington Wolves 0, Hull FC 10.
Thanks very much, Ian. Coming up tomorrow, Steve Crossman hosting Premier League Sunday. Liverpool against West Ham at 2. We'll bring you Newcastle against Manchester United at 4:30 here on 5 Live. You can also listen to commentary of Chelsea against Ipswich on Sports Extra, and Wolves against Spurs is available online via the BBC Sport website and app. That is all tomorrow. Here come Arsenal on the attack with Martinelli, left wing, gliding his way into the penalty area. Ajer backing away from him. Martinelli onto his right boot, shoots, and it deflects out for a corner.
It's where he's at his most dangerous. He wants to face up the defenders, he wants to run at them, because he's got the ability to go outside or go inside. He's really good when he drops that shoulder. He's got a little step over, and he's got a blistering turn of pace over 3 or 4 yards. He's decided to cut inside on that one. He just couldn't get a clear enough effort, but corner kick from Arsenal.
It's a fantastic leaderboard at the Masters in Augusta. You can listen to live coverage here on 5 Live after 6:06 this evening. They will start that coverage on Sports Extra, and so many big names right up at the top of the leaderboard midway through that tournament at the Masters. Here in the Premier League in North London, 0-0 between Arsenal and Brentford, and Declan Rice is standing over a corner kick. Left-hand side of the field as Arsenal come forward. Here it comes from Declan Rice, powered towards the back post. Great delivery! Thomas Partey's header just wide. That's the sort of corner that Gabriel has been nodding it into the back of the net all season. And Partey's header may well have even got to the net itself there. Blocked away off a defender. Another Arsenal corner.
Yeah, I think it was good defending in the end, because it looked like Partey was just going to nod it towards goal and get a good attempt on it. And Brentford had managed to get, it was 3 or 4 defenders surrounded him. He couldn't get a clean header on it, and another corner, but that looked dangerous.
And Waneri is going to take this one on the right hand side. The last one of these he played short to Zinchenko. Arsenal fans hush down that end as they await this set piece delivery. Liverpool fans looking on from afar, hoping Arsenal drop points here. Good in-swinger again, awkwardly dealt with. They're both appealing that the last touch came off the other, but the referee is going to give it as a corner. Corner again, take 2 for Waneri.
Yeah, I like the corners that Arsenal take. When they do put them in, they don't whip them in with an awful lot of pace. They almost just feed them in. There's a great deal of accuracy on it. They put it into a really good area. But even if the defender gets the first contact or the first header, because there's very little pace on the ball, he can't get any distance, so it keeps maintaining the pressure.
So corner for Waneri again. Brentford with everyone back in the penalty area defending it. All these targets at the back post to begin with, and here comes Waneri, the run up, the in-swinger, nice place delivery. This time it was Sepp van den Berg who got his forehead to it to push it outside the penalty area. Arsenal still have possession though. Jorginho to Saliba, no one marking him. Midway inside the Brentford half, gives it to his right hand side to Zinchenko. Back out to Waneri, who'd taken the corner kick a moment ago. And here's his cross into the penalty area, flicked on and flicked in. And would you believe it, of all Arsenal players, it's Kieran Tierney who scores. It's his first Premier League start in almost 2 years. Since May 2023, the Scotland international, on his return to the starting team of the Premier League, has put Mikel Arteta's team in front with a header.
Well, it's all about the delivery. Waneri, brilliant delivery into the box. Again, we're speaking about not putting too much pace on it, but feeding it into a really dangerous area. Kieran Tierney just had to glance it in.
Oh, hold on, Andy. On this first weekend of semi-automated offsides, the purple screen has emerged in the corners of the Emirates. They are checking to see if there was a possible offside here. Tierney, who seemed as surprised as anyone to be the goal scorer, it's a very muted celebration from him. I'm now just wondering, is he thinking that he was offside? It's not going to count. Well, at least it's a quick decision with a semi-automatic system. We're getting to see a little bit of a replay of it here as Waneri played the ball into the penalty. I'll tell you what, it's not much in it, but Tierney was in an offside position.
Yeah, it's a shame from an Arsenal perspective, because that was a really great delivery from Waneri there. He cut back inside on his left foot and fed a brilliant ball in there. But there you have to give credit to the Brentford back line, because when that ball did come out, they got themselves up, and that's why you always say, get yourself up and try and see if you can catch the attackers offside.
Yeah, I wonder now, in retrospect, did Tierney know he was offside? A challenge by Norgard on Martinelli, and the Arsenal players and fans didn't like that, and the referee immediately takes out the yellow card and shows it to Christian Norgard. Brentford, who have been the team shown the fewest yellow cards of all Premier League sides this season, but Norgard, that was unceremoniously how he chopped down Martinelli there.
Yeah, I don't think it's anything more than a yellow card. He's taken him out, definitely, and Martinelli would have been in a decent position, but he wasn't going through on goal. It was a little bit of a lunge. Martinelli's quick, he's got a nick on the ball. I think it's a booking. I'm not too sure why the Arsenal players are going around, unless, you know, there's something that we can't see, what maybe one of the contact on the ankle or something like that, but from here it didn't look like it was anything more than a yellow.
Well, the referee today is Simon Hooper. He instantly reached for his pocket to show up the card. Still complaints from Arsenal players. Martinelli still not back up on his feet. Just got to see a replay of it there, Andy. What, any change in view there?
No, look, I don't think it's a great challenge by any stretch, but I don't think that it's anything more than a yellow card. It's not a red card.
All right, back to Super League. Ian Chisnell.
Hull FC running again, another try on this near side, the right edge. Tom Briscoe's second of the game. Back-to-back sets on the Warrington line. The wire couldn't cope with it. Price couldn't have the extras. Warrington 0, Hull FC 14.
Thanks very much, Ian. It is an incredibly busy weekend of live sport on 5 Live, and we often have jam-packed weekends, but there's an awful lot on this weekend with the Premier League, the Masters Golf, the Formula 1 Grand Prix as well, plus the Women's FA Cup semi-finals and the Women's Six Nations, all available on BBC television. Our concentration here at the moment is on the Premier League. Arsenal second in the table, 0-0 against Brentford here at the Emirates as Damsgaard comes forward, plays it in towards Shannon in the penalty area. Good work from Tierney to get it off him, and he tried to play it out for a throw-in, but it's gone out on the corner kick side of the corner flag. That will be a corner to Brentford.
Yeah, more good play from Brentford. They've had maybe 3 or 4 really good moments in this game where they've played some good football. They've got the ball up there pretty quickly. There's been a set, there's been a forward run, and there's been good quality on it, and they're making Arsenal defend at times in this game.
We'll be going to Cork in just a moment for news of a try, but let's see what Brentford do with this corner kick. Arsenal have brought everyone back to defend it. Brentford wearing the dark green with the almost yellowy lime green trim. Aya's gone in to sit in front of Raya. Nathan Collins is directly behind Raya. Here comes the delivery. Norgard flicks it onto the front post. Valeri's going to stretch. Damsgaard too. And Thomas Partey didn't get a firm touch, so it'll go out for a goal kick. So let's check in on the Women's Six Nations. Ireland against England. Here's Adam Whitty.
England break Ireland's resistance. They've got a second try. They're 14-5 up with 50 minutes gone. Ireland down to 14 with Nevo Dowd Sinbind. Zoe Harrison found the gap to score on the right. Ireland 5, England 14.
Thanks very much, Adam. 6:06 coming up after this game on 5 Live with Chris Sutton and Robbie Savage. Your chance to get on the air on 5 Live tonight and have your say about the day's footballing stories up and down the pyramid, including a very late winner for Everton away at Nottingham Forest, which is one of the stories of the day. Arsenal on the attack here at the Emirates. Martinelli just outside the penalty area on the left-hand side. Trossard waiting patiently infield. Martinelli accelerates again towards the byline, but then puts too much on his delivery. It sails over Waneri. Partey's done really well to win it ahead of Damsgaard, and Arsenal remain on the attack here. Saliba. Arsenal have really pushed forward here. Even Raya's up at the halfway line. Waneri back to Jorginho. All of his outfield teammates ahead of him here. Jorginho scanning the horizon, looking for the best option here. Plays it for Partey, who drills it back across the 6-yard box. And Sepp van den Berg with little choice but to put it out for an Arsenal corner, 0-0.
Yeah, it's good to watch from Arsenal. There's lots of brilliant rotations there. You look at, a triangle of a deeper player, a wider player, and then somebody making a run into that inside channel just inside the box, and it's really, really difficult to defend against. Some really good combinations in them wide areas. Arsenal are starting to kind of find a little bit of rhythm in this game now.
You can catch the highlights of all today's Premier League games on Match of the Day tonight, 10:20 start. That is on BBC One as Waneri takes the corner. Back to Martinelli. Now Zinchenko, edge of the penalty area's Arsenal attack, right hand side, great ball from Zinchenko, back to Waneri, onside, in the penalty area, pulls it back, and Shad on the edge of the 6-yard box was able to clear away. Arsenal come again. This is good pressure from Mikel Arteta's team. Zinchenko looking for the angle, tries to catch out Mark Flecken at the near post. Flecken gets down to push it away, and it's another in a long succession of Arsenal corners. Still 0-0 with 13 minutes to go to half time.
Yeah, a bit of pressure building on Brentford now. They're having to defend their own box, they're having to defend their own 6-yard box. There's some really good combination play, there's some good link play. I like the movement. Waneri's starting to really get on the ball. We're starting to see Zinchenko come alive now. It's been a really, really entertaining game, this, considering we haven't had a goal yet.
Another set piece for Arsenal, taken short by Waneri to Zinchenko, back to Waneri, no one marking him, tries to turn Norgard, tries to tee up Trossard, flag eventually goes up, and Waneri had been in an offside position as the ball was played back towards him. So free kick to Brentford inside their own penalty area.
He's so composed when he gets into them areas. You just see Waneri there, he just dragged the ball from his left foot onto his right foot. For somebody so young, he plays the game like he's got so many more years under his belt. He really is a pleasure to watch.
Just to paint the picture for you listening at home, on the big screens here they're putting up the written explanation of why the Tierney goal has been offside. And I know that communication to those watching inside the stadium has been one of the problems with the whole VAR system. They're trying to improve that by explaining things, and they can show the new graphics as well of the semi-automatic offside system. But yellow card given to Sade here for trying to prevent an Arsenal counter-attack. So he joins Norgard in the referee's notebook today. Yellow card for Kevin Shannon. Free kick to Arsenal, bang on the halfway line. Jorginho to take it. Jorginho hasn't started a home game here in the Premier League since November against Forest. It's been a long, long time. But no surprise that Odegaard was always going to be rested from the midfield today with that trip to Madrid coming up in the next few days. Again, you can listen to on 5 Live. Arsenal having a good spell at the moment. Trossard just outside the penalty area, the attack on the left-hand side. Jorginho here, slightly more central, 10 yards outside the penalty area. Gives it to Trossard once again. There's all sorts of movements ahead of him. Plays it back to Jorginho. Now the ball is played into the box. Now the header from Martinelli. Back across the face of goal. Van der Berg tries to head it out of the box. Jorginho nudges it back in again. Janelt gets a touch, but Brentford is struggling to hold on to it. Even when they get a touch, it's immediately giving it back to Arsenal players. Declan Rice here, spinning one way then the other, gives it to Partey on the right hand side, back to Saliba. Arsenal forced back near the centre circle, then Saliba plays it direct, what a pass into the penalty area. Martinelli shoots and Ayer makes a very good block.
Yeah, brilliant play. It's a lovely run from outside to inside from Martinelli. He's taken it brilliantly on his chest, and that was a great block, and it was well needed. It looked like Martinelli was just going to volley it from probably about 8 or 9 yards out, but you just feel the pressure starting to build. It's difficult for the Brentford players to be able to get any kind of passages of play going, to be able to build any kind of possession. They're not really keeping the ball more than 5 or 6 passes, and Arsenal are starting to get higher and higher up the pitch and starting to look really, really dangerous.
Brilliant pass from Saliba there, and a really good tackle from Christopher Ayer as well. Brentford, who are currently 14 points up on this stage last season, they've already got more points on the board now than they did in the entirety of the last campaign, which will very much please Thomas Frank, who wants to keep that upward progression continuing. 0-0 here in North London. Let's go back to Warrington Wolves against Hull FC and Ian Chisnell.
Well, Hull FC are threatening to run riot. 4 tries in half an hour. The latest SA, all strength and power. 3 hanging off him from Warrington. Couldn't stop him. Bang in front. Price added the extras. Warrington Wolves 0, Hull FC 20.
And a try in Cork, Adam Whitty.
A third for England. They might have seen off Ireland's resistance. Meg Jones has got it. England lead 21-5. Ireland did so well for so long, but England might just have broken their spirits. Ireland 5, England 21, 56 minutes gone.
Brentford attack here. Lewis Potter's cross on the left-hand side comes in low, and it's quite comfortably gathered by David Raya in the end.
It's better by Brentford, though. They've built from the back there. They've walked their way through into midfield, played some good football there, got Wiesa higher up the pitch, and he puts an okay ball across. But what you need is a forward coming across the keeper. I always say to the centre forward, somebody get across the front of the keeper and try and make it difficult for them. Brentford didn't have anybody there.
The 4th race of the Formula 1 season, the Bahrain Grand Prix, is live on Sports Extra from 4 p.m. tomorrow. You can listen to qualifying right now on the BBC Sport website and app. Arsenal on the attack here. Tierney, though, in an offside position as he received it on the left-hand side. So the F1 race tomorrow. If you prefer your races a bit more sedate, not quite as loud, not as many engines, you can watch the boat race on BBC television tomorrow. That is at 12:30. Right, half-time is approaching here at the Emirates Stadium. Arsenal, after their 5 changes for the win over Real Madrid, have not been as explosive today as they were in the Champions League in midweek, but I think pretty fair to say, Andy, that Arsenal have still been the team on top here. Yeah,
they've played some good stuff. They'll be disappointed they're not a kind of a goal or 2 up, but they haven't really created loads of clear-cut opportunities, but they've played some really good football. And I think what Brentford have done well is they've defended the box really well, but also going forward, they've had 3 or 4 moments in this first half that will just keep Arsenal on their toes. They know that if they're not switched on, that Brentford are capable of creating something.
So Arsenal, for all the pressure, not registering shots on target in the game, albeit they have had the disallowed goal headed in by Kieran Tierney. What a story that would have been on his first Premier League start in almost 2 years. Brentford have possession at the moment inside the Arsenal half. Damsgaard, though, gives it straight to Jorginho, and then Saliba's able to mop it up. And back to Raya, whose right-footed clearance with loads of backspin on it comes down near the halfway line. Van der Berg keeps his eye on it, plays it forward. Saliba beats Shada in the air. Partey gets the ball back down on the deck, and nice and calm rolls it back to David Raya away to our left-hand side. So Raya from the D of the penalty area gives it short to Jorginho. Arsenal building their way out. What a ball that is from Jorginho, picking out Tierney's run up from left back. And you know, when it comes to playing passes like that, Jorginho's probably the best Arsenal player. That he is almost without peer in terms of accurate quarterback style distribution.
Yeah, he plays them particularly well. He's got really good accuracy with his passes, and I think that these are the type of passes that will hurt Brentford. Again, you see the two centre-backs from Brentford stepping in beyond the halfway line and leaving a hole in the middle of the pitch, and Martinelli and Nwaneri need to start making runs in them. If they start making runs from out to in, Jorginho will pick them out.
Arsenal have only lost one Premier League home game in the last year, but if they don't win today, Liverpool could wrap up the Premier League title as early as next week. If there was a draw for Arsenal here, if they were to lose their next game, if Liverpool win 2 in a row, that's it. Title race finito. Here is Trossard, 5 yards from the byline, left-hand side for Arsenal, gives it back to Tierney, maybe got underneath that a bit too much. It came in like a Gary Owen in rugby, and Nwaneri beaten by Keane Lewis-Potter, who had little option there. He's just headed it out for another Arsenal throw, and Arsenal's incessant pressure remains here, still 0-0.
We haven't had loads of chances, and you know, it's been a bit boring, I suppose, in that end of the pitch. But in the middle part of the pitch, I think there's been some really good tactical battles going on.
Here is Declan Rice just outside the penalty area, dropping a shoulder into the penalty area. Couple of step overs, shot on target, saved by Fleck, and Martinelli tries to follow it in, and that will be a corner. Well, that was good from Declan Rice, just trying something a bit different, dropping the shoulder, cruising past the defender, and getting a corner for his team. Yeah,
we know when he opens them legs, and he's got that long stride, hasn't he? Goes past people. He's powerful as well, so he can use his body to get into them areas, and he's done it well. When he makes them runs in that inside left channel, it's very, very difficult to deal with.
Declan Rice has gone out to take this corner kick. That corner of the field is where the away fans sit at the Emirates, so all the Brentford fans are watching that up close. Most of them wearing the red and white home kit, so they're almost indistinguishable from most of the Arsenal fans here. As the in-swinger from Rice was on target and had to be punched away by Fleck. That nearly went directly in from Declan Rice.
It's a brilliant delivery. Good weight on it, good accuracy on it. Flecken was really backpedaling, he was struggling, there was bodies in and around them. That could have easily dropped in.
Now that really would have made it Declan Rice's week. If you score 2 free kicks against Real Madrid and then you score direct from a corner, well, then you are enjoying a Midas touch of a few days. Corner this time on the right hand side, so it needs a left-footed taker, and Nwaneri has come across to do the honours. Brentford all hands on deck defending, which is what they've had to do for most of this first half on 5 Live at BBC Sounds. Arsenal 0, Brentford 0 in the Premier League. Nwaneri's delivery flicked on at the front post by Trossard, but flicked high and up over the crossbar. That was a free header, actually. No Brentford player had tracked him. Goal kick to the visitors.
It was actually really clever from Arsenal, because they brought 5 men out. Looked like they're going to play a short corner, and then just at the last minute, Trossard, who was one of the men who was out, he was probably on the 18-yard line, kind of coming towards the corner. He just backed off then towards the goal. It was a lovely little lofted ball, and he headed it probably on the 6-yard box, wasn't he? When he got a bit of a header, he just couldn't get it on target, but it was really clever. The position was really clever that Trossard took up.
So the only shot on target of the game was the Christopher Ayer effort saved by David Raya. 3 minutes to go until half-time. Nathan Collins is in possession under pressure from Declan Rice, turns and rolls the ball back to the Brentford goalkeeper Mark Flecken. Well, Brentford, who went 1-0 up against Arsenal last time they met in January, Arsenal came back to win the game. 0-0 for the moment here. Partey to Jorginho, a little bit awkward, but Jorginho dealt with it well, and then Wissa fouls Partey surely. Referee initially allowed play to continue, but clearly there was no advantage for Arsenal there, so it's come back for a free kick for that foul on Thomas Partey.
Yeah, I think it's a free kick, not more than that. I think he knew that Partey had got the wrong side of him, so he thought, rather than chase him back 60 yards, I'll just give away the foul.
Brentford, who've never won a game here at the Emirates. Their last away victory against Arsenal was at the old Highbury 87 years ago this month. 0-0 for now. Zinchenko plays it over to Martinelli on the left-hand side. Good challenge by Ayer. Christopher Ayer is naturally a central defender, but he's been operating at right back for most of this season for Brentford, and he did well one-on-one against the zippy Martinelli there. Throw in for Arsenal, Tierney to take.
I think what it does with Ayer playing there, it gives them a little bit more balance. He doesn't have to go forward too often. You know, Lewis Potter, when they do get forward from that left-hand side, he can do that, and it ends up looking like there's 3 centre-backs at times. So it keeps them nice and secure, especially when you come somewhere like the Emirates, where you're going to be under a bit of pressure at different points throughout the game.
Half-time rapidly approaching. Trossard in possession here for Arsenal. Saliba deep up into Brentford territory with the sky blue boots, gives the ball to Trossard, who fancies a shot from range, goes around Norgard, there's a good shot, good save by Flecken. The goalkeeper diving down to his left. It was hit with quite a thunder there from the Belgian Leandro Trossard. Good save from Flecken.
That's where he comes alive. He's in and around the edge of the box, he twists, he turns, he's got that low centre of gravity, and he can shoot with both feet as well. So when he checks back onto his left foot, you know that he's going to hit it. It was a good strike. It was one that you would expect Flecken to save, but nonetheless he had to deal with it.
Right, Arsenal are going to mix it up. Waneri had taken all of the corners from the right hand side so far in this game, and there's been quite a few of them, but this time Zinchenko is going to be the set piece taker, and he plays it accurately, low along the ground to the feet of Trossard in the box, back out of the penalty area to Martinelli, back to Zinchenko, who took the corner kick, and slightly feeling of too many cooks spoil the broth there as they don't actually deliver it into the penalty area after a succession of passes. But Arsenal do hold on to possession, and they've been much more careful in possession today than Brentford, who've struggled to put 3 or 4 passes together in a row. Mbeumo here challenges Trossard. Last touch came off the Belgian. That is a throw-in for Brentford as we move into stoppage time at the end of the first half here in North London. There will be 2 additional minutes to be added on.
I found that that battle, I think Arsenal have had 9 corners, and I found that battle quite interesting. Sometimes they put it in and look dangerous, other times they've tried to kind of almost play their way into the box to try and get into that assist zone, you know, somewhere in and around the byline and the 6-yard box, and can they get enough numbers there to be able to make it difficult for Brentford?
Lewis Potter pumps one forward, Wisser runs onto it, but it bounces up into the gloves of David Raya. What a good time this would be to score. Stoppage time ahead of the break at the Emirates. Declan Rice finds his pass cut out by Shana. Great retreating back by him. Flecken then under pressure of a real high press from Arsenal. 2 players, Trossard and Rice, both sprinted in, a proper sprinted in on top of the goalkeeper to try and unsettle him, and he only fractionally got the ball away as Ayer here gives it to Mbeumo on the far side in towards Damsgaard, but well won back for Arsenal by Jorginho. Arsenal have done really well on the one-on-one duels in this game so far today. Yeah,
Jorginho's been brilliant at that. He's nipped in, he's won so many second balls. When the ball gets knocked down, he's the first onto it. He reads the game really, really well, and he's the one that lands on them balls more often than not, and that's given Arsenal the platform then to go forward.
It must be hard for Jorginho. He's not played many games this season, he's not started many, but he looks sharp. There's no sign of any rustiness there as Kivior gives the ball to Saliba. By the way, Arsenal probably would have started with Ben White at right back today, but he picked up a knock in training yesterday. Here is Trossard outside the penalty area, no room to get a shot away there. He tried, but it was always going to be smothered by the defenders, and the loose ball pops back to Mark Flecken away to our right hand side. So 0-0 it remains, just seconds to go in the first half here. And Liverpool fans looking on from afar with their eyes on a title, with their champagne on ice, will be thinking, maybe, just maybe, Brentford might be about to do us a favour here today. There's the whistle from referee Simon Hooper to bring this first half to a halt. So, 1 shot on target, Christopher Ayer, well saved by David Raya. Tierney did have a header in the back of the net, but it was disallowed for offside. The semi-automatic offside system coming into effect there, but frankly, even to the naked eye on the first replay, you could see he was in an offside position, so the technology wasn't so much needed there. Arsenal, who've huffed and puffed, loads of possession, just need to get more shots on target, Andy Reid.
Yeah, I know there hasn't been an awful lot of chances, but in a lot of ways I've enjoyed the game. I think there's been some really good parts of the game. I think there's been some really good build-up play from Arsenal. I think positionally they've been really good in the forward areas. The one criticism that you would have is that they haven't created enough clear-cut opportunities. They've got into some great areas but haven't really had that cutting edge, and Brentford have done just enough to keep Arsenal on the toes, to keep them worried, to know that they can hurt them. They've created a couple of half opportunities themselves, so we want to see more goal-mouth action. We definitely want to see more goals, but there's been some good parts to this game as well.
And we know how important corners are to Arsenal. They had 10 corners in that first half, which is the most they've had in the first half of a Premier League game for 13 years, but none of them ended up in the back of the net. Arsenal 0, Brentford 0 for now.
Second half on the way with Connor and Andy. Let's go to the Women's Six Nations. Ireland, England. Adam Whitty.
Where England have scored 28 unanswered points. They've completely dominated the second half and lead Ireland 28-5 with 65 minutes gone. Tries for Harrison, Jones and Burns have given England a bonus point. They found extra gears as Ireland have tied. They're set to make it 9 wins in a row against Ireland and 32 straight Six Nations victories. Ireland 5, England 28, 65 minutes gone.
Earlier, France beat Wales 42-12. Champions Cup commentary on Sports Extra right now. Northampton lead Castres by 20 points to 10. Earlier, Bordeaux beat Munster 47-29. Super League game this evening is Warrington against Hull FC. Ian Chisnell.
Warrington 4, Hull FC 26. A 5-try blitz from the early birds. 2 for Tom Briscoe, 2 for Davy Litton. The other all about the power of SASA. George Williams crossed just before the break. Is it just a consolation, I wonder? Warrington Wolves 4, Hull FC 26.
Tough task for Great Britain this afternoon against the Netherlands in the Billie Jean King Cup. Russell Fuller.
Yes, it's 1-1 heading into the decisive doubles, with the winners heading off to the finals in Shenzhen in September. A win in singles for Sonny Cartel, a defeat for Katie Bolter, and Anne Kjotevong, the captain, has rolled the dice ahead of the doubles. She has changed the team and brought in Katie Bolter, fresh from her singles defeat, to play alongside Jodie Burridge instead of Harriet Dart and Olivia Nichols. Nichols, the one specialist doubles player in the team, and they're up against Demi Shures, a winner on the WTA doubles tour this season, and Susan Lammons, who beat Bolter to record a 13th consecutive Billie Jean King Cup win for her country. It's 1 game all first set.
In the Premier League this afternoon, Manchester City 5, Crystal Palace 2, Brighton 2, Leicester 2, Nottingham Forest 0, Everton 1, Southampton 0, Aston Villa 3. Leeds are top of the Championship thanks to a 2-1 win against Preston, level with Burnley on 88 points. Sheffield United stay third. They lose again, this time at Plymouth. Birmingham are champions of League One without kicking a ball. That's because Wrexham in second were held at Wigan. Wickham in third, now just a point behind Wrexham after they beat Stevenage. Port Vale are top of League Two after they beat Bromley 5-0, and 10-man Bradford lost a thriller 5-4 at Swindon. Celtic thrashed Kilmarnock 5-1, so they'll win the Scottish Premiership title tomorrow if Aberdeen beat Rangers. Chelsea scored an injury-time winner to beat Liverpool 2-1 and reach the final of the Women's FA Cup. And a week after a 1-2-3 in the National, Willie Mullins trained a 1-2 in the Scottish Grand National at Ayr. Captain Cody beating stablemate Clark Kent into second. It is 22 minutes past 6, and it's time for the latest news with John Barnes.
The voice of the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Emergency legislation enabling the government to take control of the British steel plant in Scunthorpe is now set to become law after it was approved by both the Commons and the Lords. MPs met in Parliament on a Saturday for the first time since 1982 to debate the bill. Our political correspondent Joe Pike explained why it was so significant.
Scunthorpe is the final site across the UK that delivers this type of steel, which is incredibly important for construction, for the railways, and therefore there are national security and economic security implications. The nod is to global uncertainty.
BBC reporter Ollie Constable is in Scunthorpe.
Well, there's a feeling of cautious optimism here. That legislation hopefully providing generations of workers in that plant behind me a feeling that they can continue to create steel for many, many more years. 2,700 people are directly employed by that company. But for a town, this is a town that's been built on steel. They're incredibly proud of their industrial heritage.
Earlier today, before the legislation was approved, the Prime Minister visited steelworkers in Lincolnshire and described them as the backbone of British steel.
We've been really clear that this is legislation in the national interest because I judged yesterday that it was right that we acted immediately The bill will go through. It'll go through in a day. It'll get royal assent this afternoon, and that means that we will then be in control of the site, able to give instructions about what should happen and making sure that the blast furnace stays on, and that we have a future for steel, which matters to you, your jobs, your families, the next generation, this region, the country.
And this is what people in Scunthorpe were saying earlier today.
Without the steelworks, economically and socially, Scunthorpe is going to be in great difficulty.
I'm pretty sure they're working very hard to resolve it, and that's all we need to know. As long as they are and can, brilliant, all the better for us.
There's lots of other trades which are so intertwined with the works that if it were to shut, they would all suffer.
We'll have more on this on 5 Live tonight at 7:30. In other news, 3 prison officers have been attacked by Hashim Abidi, the brother of the Manchester Arena bomber, a source has told the BBC. The officer sustained life-threatening injuries on Saturday, including burns, scalds and stab wounds in the attack at HMP Frankland in County Durham, the Prison Officers Association said. And President Trump has decided to make smartphones, computers and other electronics imported into the US exempt from tariffs. The US Customs and Border Protection Office said the 125% levy on goods from China would no longer apply to some electronic goods.
When certain opportunities come, you have to take it.
The Manchester City club captain Carl Walker has joined AC Milan on loan.
I'm Carl Walker.
And I'm Michael Brown.
And welcome to the Carl Walker podcast with me in Milan and Brownie in Manchester.
Walker charges brilliantly. You can ask us anything about football, our careers, and about Kyle's life in Italy, or just random everyday stuff.
They're the moments that you do pinch yourself in being a kid from Sheffield.
The Kyle Walker Podcast.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
This is 5 Live Sport
with Mark Chapman.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Let's get an update from Adam Whitty watching Ireland-England in the Six Nations.
Where 2 quick tries for England has seen them cruising against a tiring Ireland. They are 42-5 up. That's their 5th and 6th try. Replacement tight head Sarah Byrne using pure power to burrow under the post. World Player of the Year Ellie Kildunn using pure pace to score her 4th of the tournament. Ireland 5, England 42, 71 minutes gone.
Arsenal 0, Brentford 0 at half-time. Second half on the way. Abdoulaye Doucouré got an injury time winner for Everton as they beat Nottingham Forest 1-0 at the City Ground in our game at 3 o'clock. It's the first win in 6 for David Moyes' side.
I thought today really from the first minute we were assertive, on top, tried to give them very little time and space, and look, we got a really good result today. It was players put in a brilliant performance, and probably the best performance since I've been here. Showed that there's improvement, and much improvement on the ball. We've created more chances again and tried to get opportunities, so there's a lot of big changes, yeah.
You've got Goodison to end on. You've just won here today. I mean, just what's the last 6 games going to be like for you and the team you're going to put out? Is it just about enjoying it?
No, I don't think it's about enjoying it, but I want the supporters to enjoy it. I want them to enjoy the period that we're probably not under as much pressure as we've been on in the last 2 or 3 seasons. I want us to keep winning. I want us to try and finish the season really strongly, going into the new stadium, feeling confident. Ideally, I want to have a season like Nottingham Forest, challenging for European spots and getting to the semi-final of Cups. I think we've got to try and set our ambitions quite high to try and do that. And the form the players are in at the moment, they're certainly not far away from that at the moment.
David Moyes with George Cummins took Aston Villa 73 minutes to break the deadlock at relegated Southampton, and they missed 2 penalties, but they went on to win 3-0. Ollie Watkins came off the bench to open the scoring and afterwards spoke to Jonathan Pearce.
We've got to stop meeting like this because every time we do, you score.
Yeah, I know. I was just saying to you off camera there, you need to come to the FA Cup and to the Champions League, because whenever you're here, I score. So, yeah, always the way, isn't it?
And a lovely moment, because there's some goal, actually, the way you took it.
Yeah, definitely. I felt like we needed some runs in behind, you know, just to have something different. Obviously, I come off the bench and I just tried to get a little toe on it. It was too far in front of me to control it, so... yeah, it was nice to see it hit the bar and bounce in.
It's a harsh league, isn't it? I mean, they made it difficult for you, but then you've got 3 wonderful impact substitutes.
Yeah, I think you see the depth in our squad this year. Being able to, rotate the squad for different games. I think for Forest we made 8 changes. Previous years we've not been able to do that. So if we had this squad at the start of the season, I definitely think we would be further up the table. But it's positive, for us as a team, as a club, to be able to do that, and it shows how far we've come.
Let's go into the Championship. Leeds are top. They beat Preston 2-1 at Elland Road. So Daniel Farke's side a level with Burnley on 88 points.
Price has 3 points for us. Really good performance. Could have made our life, of course, easier with using a few of the chances. Must be definitely one of the highest expected goals games for us during the whole season. And if we don't achieve 100 goals during the season, this game today is one of the reasons, because normally we should have scored 6 or 7 today. Nevertheless, Price has 3 points and feels pretty good.
How much were you aware of what was happening at Plymouth towards the end, Daniel? Was it in your consciousness at all?
A little bit, because you sense also the reaction of our supporters, and of course I didn't know the scoreline, but I was a bit aware that it could be an important step for us today. And I think it led to a situation that we were even all a bit more on it, and everyone could sense in the stadium, come on, we need to win the 3 points, and we were really on it. But on the other hand, I also wanted to make sure that we were not overexcited and stay also cool and don't forget what we have to do also against the ball, and are not just thinking about, okay, what happens on other pitches.
Daniel Farke with Leeds top of the Championship. There is one game going on at the moment in League One in Scotland. It's reached half-time. Both Leeds Stenhousemuir by 1-0. If they win that, they'll be promoted to the Scottish Championship as champions once the second half at the Emirates is over. And before we bring you the golf here on 5 Live from 9 o'clock, it's 6:06. Here's Chris.
You're working hard, Mark. Want to hear from Leeds United fans. We just heard Daniel Farke. He said a while back he was 100% certain that Leeds would go up. He's a man of his word. Do you trust Daniel Farke? You're in a brilliant position, and so are Burnley, Sheffield United. Let's hear from their fans. They've lost their edge, losing at Plymouth today. 5 points off the automatics now. Tight at the bottom as well. Luton Town losing to Blackburn. They're in a bit of a mess. And in the Premier League, I've got to say, Mark, I'm really worried about my Nottingham Forest losing to Everton today. That race for the Champions League spot, it's 5 places now. It is so tight. Manchester City winning, Aston Villa winning. What a season they're having. Chelsea and Newcastle seem to be heavily in the race. And Everton fans, we just heard from your manager, David Moyes. What can you achieve next season, Everton fans? Can you be pushing for a European place? Birmingham City fans, my old club as well, Mark, champions of League One. What can you achieve next season? And Celtic fans on the brink. If Rangers lose tomorrow at Aberdeen, Celtic emphatic. I was at the game today, 1-5-1. What do you need to happen over the summer? 08 085 909 693.
Okay, thank you very much. Are you going to continue supporting Nottingham Forest even though they're lost?
Well, do you know what? If they lose another game, then I may switch allegiances to Villa, one of my other former clubs.
Goodness me.
They've had a good season.
You know how to wind people up, don't you? Thank you very much. Qualifying has ended at the Bahrain Grand Prix, and Oscar Piastri is on pole in his McLaren. Harry Benjamin.
Yeah, he delivered on McLaren's pace all throughout the weekend to take pole position under the lights. So we expected it to be a McLaren 1-2, but Lando Norris could only manage 6th. George Russell starts 2nd for Mercedes. And after a fantastic pole and win for Max Verstappen last weekend in Japan, problems with that Red Bull means he starts down in 7th with work to do across 57 laps tomorrow.
Thank you very much. One other football line for you. Eddie Howe will miss Newcastle's Premier League game against Manchester United on Sunday due to illness. The club has said that he was admitted to hospital late on Friday evening, having felt unwell for a number of days. He was kept in hospital overnight for further tests. He's conscious, talking with his family, and is continuing to receive expert medical care. As Ian Dennis said earlier, we all at 5 Live wish him a speedy recovery. Third round of the Masters is underway. Zach Johnson out on the course has shot 5 under through 13, so he's 3 under for the Masters. All the leaders going out over the next hour or so. Justin Rose and Bryson DeChambeau go out at 7:40 UK time. Our coverage begins on Sports Extra around 7:30. Continues here on 5 Live at 9 o'clock. Back to the Emirates. They're back underway. Here's Conor McNamara.
Thanks very much, Mark. Arsenal 0, Brentford 0. No substitutes over half-time. We'll give you a rundown of the full teams as soon as we get a break in play. But Arsenal playing from right to left as we look down in this second period, wearing their traditional red and white. Brentford in the change kit of dark green. Waneri in possession for Arsenal on the halfway line. Arsenal, who dominated possession, had the most chances in the first half, had a goal disallowed, but didn't have an opportunity on target that would have stood. And for all that pressure, Brentford will feel that they're just about dealing with what's been thrown at them so far. Here is Kieran Tierney coming forward. His first Premier League start in 2 years. He's the player who had the goal disallowed. Martinelli plays a dangerous whipped ball into the penalty area, and Waneri nearly got there at the far post, but out it goes for a goal kick. Andy Reid.
Yeah, we spoke about Martinelli in the first half, how he has the ability to go outside, to come inside. That time he chose to come inside and he's whipped a really good ball towards the back post there. Waneri coming in, he's just tried to flick his left foot at it, like the outside of his left foot, and he couldn't quite get any purchase on it.
Arsenal, who've only lost 3 Premier League games all season. Liverpool supporters listening on from afar, hoping that Arsenal will drop points today that would edge them ever closer to the inevitable title for Arne Slot in his first campaign in English football, title number 20 for Liverpool, significant number. Arsenal hoping that they can just make Liverpool sweat a little bit, drag it on into May. So Saliba here at the halfway line. No real urgency from Arsenal amid what has been a relaxed kind of atmosphere around here today. Even looking around the stadium on the second tier, which is the sort of prawn sandwich brigade tier, it's only half full now. They're enjoying the drinks and the food at half-time rather than coming out for the start of the second period. That kind of sums it all up for me.
Yeah, it does. It seems like that's the case, all right.
Raya's pumped it long. Zinchenko's made a good run here, and he might have been in, and Keano's Potter with a nudge on Zinchenko, but he gets the ball and he clears it away. Raya's distribution's been very good today when he's tried to pick out players on the counter-attack.
I like the way they have a good variation, Arsenal. You know, they can work their way through the thirds, they can build, they can get players in pockets, good rotations, but also there's a good bit of movement where they're bringing them to Brentford centre-backs really, really deep, and then Zinchenko making a late third man run in behind.
Jorginho gives it to Waneri on the right wing. Everyone back behind the ball for Brentford. This was the pattern of much of the first half. Waneri gives it to Thomas Partey. I don't think Arsenal will have this sort of possession, this sort of territory when they go to Madrid in midweek, so I'm not sure if this is going to prove any sort of decent preparation for that. I'd imagine Arsenal will be playing the role of Brentford in that game in terms of how deep they have to sit. All over, I believe, in the Rugby League, Warrington Wolves against Hull FC. Here's... No, my apologies, actually. It's not the Rugby League. It's the Rugby Union where it's all over. The Women's Six Nations. Ireland against England and Adam Whitty. Sorry, Adam.
32 straight Six Nations victories for England. 49 unanswered points to thrash Ireland. 49-5 in Cork. Ireland led after 34 minutes, but England's strength in depth and fitness told. They cruised past Ireland in the end. Sarah Byrne with 2 of 7 scores. England's quest for a 7th straight championship continues apace. Full-time, Ireland 5, England 49.
Arsenal on the attack. Kieran Tierney on the left wing gives it back to Kivior. Infield to Jorginho. Jorginho picks a low pass to the feet of Declan Rice. Now Trossard just outside the D. Nice movement here from Arsenal. Important touch by Norgard to veer the ball away, if not quite clear it. And Arsenal remain on the attack for now. Trossard just outside the penalty area. Infield to Jorginho. 0-0 at the Emirates on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. And the Arsenal fans, resuscitated after their half-time snack, have now found their voice in support of their team. Arsenal holding on to possession, but now back near the halfway line.
I'd be interested to know what the tone of Arteta's half-time talk was, you know, because he'd been pleased with certain bits of the Arsenal performance, but wanting them to up it in the final third just a little bit more.
Arsenal win a corner kick down the right-hand side. Gives me an opportunity to give you their team in full. Raya, the goalkeeper, back forward today. Partey, there's no Ben White, he's injured. Saliba, Kivior, Tierney at left back. In midfield, Jorginho, Rice and Zinchenko. And up front, Waneri, Trossard and Martinelli. 5 players rested for the second leg against Madrid to come in midweek, which you can listen to here on 5 Live. Quarter to Arsenal. Brentford team in full in just a moment. Waneri to take this set piece. Short run up, left-footed delivery towards the front post, headed down by Norgard. Jorginho gets it on the edge of the penalty area. Martinelli to his right-hand side, back out to Waneri, who'd taken the corner kick. He plays it left-footed, too low. Keane Lewis-Potter able to clear away for Brentford. Now can they hold on to it? As Mbeumo goes to deck, but he's really strong. He gets up again. He would have carried on but was fouled, and that is a free kick to Brentford midway inside their own half. Brentford have got Mark Flecken in goal. Back four of Christopher Ajer, Nathan Collins, Sepp van den Berg and Keane Lewis-Potter. In midfield it's Christian Norgard with Vitaly Janelt. He's the one change from the team that started against Chelsea. He's come in for Yarmulke today. Brian Mbeumo's on the right hand side, Kevin Shadders on the left hand side, Mikkel Damsgaard in the number 10 role, and Johan Wisse has been the central striker up front. But most of what Brentford have had to do in this game has been defend in their own final third. It's a chance for the visitors to push forward here. Flecken has come well outside his penalty area to take the free kick. Everyone else has pushed up into the Arsenal half. Here it comes from Flecken towards the tall figure of Nathan Collins, bounces away from him, falls for Van den Berg on the right hand side. Back now to Mbeumo, a chance to chip into the penalty area. Ajer is up there, controlled it on his chest, but Declan Rice whips it away and clears. Anywhere will do, out for a Brentford throw. Better from the visitors there.
Yeah, you've seen a Brentford set piece. Coach Keith Andrews come out into the technical area, and he was really clear that he wanted Flecken to play that long. They sent both the centre backs up plus Ajer, and they made it really, really dangerous. And that could have been an opportunity. Ajer just couldn't quite get hold of the ball. It came off his chest and bounced a little bit too far away before he was able to get a strike on goal.
Shadow takes the throw. Back to Keane Lewis-Potter. Nice delivery into the penalty area. Thomas Partey was backpedaling there, and out it goes for a corner. You know, that didn't go very high over the crossbar from Partey, and Raya relieved that wasn't needed as to be a save to deny an own goal there. Corner to Brentford, who've just had a very good last 60 seconds in this game.
Yeah, that was an incredible ball by Lewis-Potter. The ball's bounced up, and he struck it on the half volley, and he pinged it right into the box, and it was really difficult. You could see Partey backtracking, and he was on the back foot, and the Brentford attackers were going at it as well, and he had to be on his toes there. That could have gone anywhere. Yeah,
no, I mean, Brentford have to realise this is an opportunity. Arsenal distracted by their trip to Madrid in the next few days. Can Brentford get a win here? Join West Ham as the only visiting teams to win in the Premier League here this season. Ball into the penalty area is disappointing though. Easy pickings for Raya. Wisse quite blatantly barged into Raya there to try and delay his distribution, but the referee happy for play to continue. Brentford get it back again inside their own half as Ajer plays it back to Flecken. 0-0 on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Mikel Arteta outside the edge of his technical area trying to conduct events on the field. Jorginho on the halfway line gives it back to Tierney. Into Jakub Kiwior, who's playing a 20th game of the season for Arsenal in all competitions, with the injury to Gabriel, who's out until next season with a hamstring problem. So Kiwior getting more miles on the clock alongside Saliba as they continue to forge that partnership. Saliba's made a good burst forward here, and he's picked out Martinelli on the edge of the box, and he tries to go around Nathan Collins, who stood him up well. Arsenal hold on to possession. Waneri tries to weave in off the touchline, skips over 2 opponents, tries to keep it moving, and it is Ajer who clears the ball away. Second half has started well here, Andy. It's end to end.
Yeah, so both teams having a bit of joy in them forward areas. Still waiting on that chance. We're still waiting on that real clear-cut chance, opportunity to come. I'm looking at the clock and it's going 53, 54 minutes, and I'm looking down at the Arsenal substitutes and what the bench is like. It's a really, really powerful bench. I wonder when Arteta will start to kind of roll the dice and bring them really, really top talented players onto the pitch.
Arsenal 0, Brentford 0. Earlier on today, Brighton drew 2-2 with Leicester. Leicester got their first Premier League goal since January. João Pedro with 2 penalties for Brighton in that game. At the City Ground, Everton got a 94th minute winner. Doucouré scoring to beat Nottingham Forest. Another defeat for already relegated Southampton. They lost 3-0 at home to Aston Villa. Ollie Watkins scored. Mallon, who's been in the goals lately, one of the January signings, and John McGinn also scoring for Aston Villa today. They've got their second leg against Paris Saint-Germain to come in midweek. Again, a game that you can listen to here on 5 Live. And Manchester City, who went 2-0 down at home to Crystal Palace, but came back to win by 5-2. Discuss it all with Chris and Robbie on 6:06, coming up at the conclusion of the live action here at the Emirates on 5 Live. Collins back on the edge of his own penalty area for Brentford, rolls it to the goalkeeper Flecken. They're going to try and play through the Arsenal press here. Keane Lewis-Potter into Damsgaard, still in their own final third, Brentford, but good accurate passing here, and Arsenal, despite trying to put pressure on, aren't able to get possession back again for Brentford.
Yeah, it was good play from Brentford there. They built really, really well. They got the keeper involved in it to create the extra man, and they walked it out the other side.
Through ball ahead of Mbumu, but Tierney gets back and shields it for Raya, who can slide down onto the turf and make the save. We've played 10 minutes in the second half here on 5 Live, 0-0 between Arsenal and Brentford.
Thomas Frank will be really pleased with how this game has gone. I'd imagine when he looked at it and he was picking his team and he was putting together the tactics for the game, that he will have wanted it to develop pretty much like it has done. They'll be still waiting for that opportunity and hoping that whether it's a set piece or a counter-attack, if they can win the ball back, that they can create a really clear-cut opportunity. But he'll be pleased, I think, with how Brentford have played.
Long ball by Raya, looking for a run from Declan Rice. Rice felt he was impeded by Christian Norgard there, but the referee didn't judge it to be a foul. Janelt battles for possession in the midfield. He's done well for Brentford as Mbumu plays it up to Damsgaard, an attempted back heel and high turnover of possession as they both get touches, and eventually the ball does go out of play. And we go for an update on the tennis with correspondent Russell Fuller.
And Anke Ottervong, the Great Britain captain, may have made an inspired substitution, bringing in Katie Boulter and Jodie Burrage to play the decisive doubles against the Netherlands. They've won the first set 6-2 against Demi Shores and Susan Lammons. The winners, Connor, head off to the Billie Jean King Cup finals in September.
Thanks very much, Russell. Coverage from the Masters Golf coming up with Ian Carter and the team live from Augusta this evening. It will be all over it tomorrow and Sunday as well on 5 Live. As free kick for Arsenal here in a position out by the corner flag. This looks a tempting angle, Andy, and Declan Rice is already standing over it.
Yeah, I would imagine that the type of ball will be similar to the corners that they put in, where they'll go for accuracy over power, just drift it into that near post area. You can already see the Arsenal players congregating at that back post area.
Sorry to interrupt, just listen for a second. Arsenal fans are urging Declan Rice to shoot. That's a bit speculative. It's 10 yards of the byline. It's out by the corner flag. Rice plays it short to Zinchenko. He is going to shoot, and it's headed away by Keane Lewis-Potter. I guess if you're having the week with set pieces that Declan Rice has had, you would try that. That was just like, now, who was it? It was Germany at the last World Cup, was it? They had a free kick, that tight sort of angle, and it was rolled and it curled into the far top corner. Was it Germany? It was. But that's what Declan Rice tried to recreate there, but he couldn't beat the defender.
Just changing the angle just gives you a little bit more scope to be able to try and get one on target, and that's one of them, though. After you whip it, you kind of aim for it to go in at that far post. If somebody touches it and they get a nod on it and it goes in, great. If not, and everybody misses it, it can drift in at the back post.
0-0 here at the Emirates Stadium. This is BBC Radio 5 Live, and Arsenal second in the table. There is a try in the Super League. Warrington Wolves against Hull FC. Here is Ian Chisnell.
And it's a second Warrington try, 8 minutes into the half. Hull have a man in the bin. Warrington took advantage. George Williams scored the first. He made the second. Josh Thulis, the scorer. It is Warrington Wolves 8, Hull FC 26.
And thanks to producer Simon Fote, who's reminded me it was Tony Kroos's free kick for Germany early on in the World Cup in 2018, a game-winning free kick against Sweden. That was what Declan Rice tried to recreate there. Zinchenko tries to play it low into the penalty area as Brentford have a chance of a counter-attack here. Wissa, who's not seen much of the ball today, pushes it in front of Mbumu. Arsenal a little bit thin at the back. Mbumu into the penalty area for Brentford, and he tried to take them all on, and eventually it's put out for a corner by Kieran Tierney. 0-0, Andy Reid.
That's really poor play from Kiwi over there. There's a 50-50 challenge halfway in the Brentford half between him and Wissa, and he's half pulled out of it. I can't quite get my head around what he's done there, and Vissa's coming, and that was a dangerous situation, and now Brentford have a corner. You would be really, really disappointed if you were the manager and your centre-back steps in and loses a 50-50 there.
Arsenal preparing to make a change. They're going to bring on the club captain. Martin Odegaard is ready for his entrance. They'll wait until after this set piece to bring him on. But, such an important week, and how they would want to wrap Odegaard in cotton wool, it perhaps shows that Arsenal not dominating to Mikel Arteta's satisfaction. He's going to make it, in fact, it's going to be a triple change. Saka's coming on too, and Lewis Skelly, so they're bringing on some of the big guns. After the corner though, corner to Brentford, 0-0. We've reached the hour mark at the Emirates Stadium. Arsenal 0, Brentford 0. In Bumu to take the corner, here it comes, left-footed, close to the keeper, David Raya holds it very well. Just leaped like he was on a trampoline up above the rest of them, and he's bowled it out to Declan Rice, and Brentford, who'd sent everyone forward, have very few back. Rice is going to run into the penalty area. Thomas Partey scores for Arsenal. That is the classic counter-attacking goal, and David Raya celebrates as much as any of them because he set all that in motion with a brilliant catch and distribution. Wonderful run from Declan Rice, and Thomas Partey scores his 4th Premier League goal of the season. Brentford were caught cold there.
They had a warning in the first half. They haven't taken heed, but that is a brilliant goal. Really, really good goal. Raya starts it off, plays it to Declan Rice, who strides forward. He must cover maybe about 80 yards, and he opens them legs. But then, does he have the composure? Does he have the way to pass? It's absolutely perfect. He slips it in for Partey, who doesn't have to break stride, and he side foots it into the far top corner. That is a brilliant goal.
So
really is.
Thomas Partey, who's playing it right back today, has run from one end of the pitch to the other to finish off. He scored in the 5-1 win over Manchester City in February. He has scored here to give Arsenal the lead. And I'd wondered if Mikel Arteta might adjust this substitution in light of recent events and his team taking the lead, but no, he's going to make the changes. So Saka comes on in place of Wanyeri. Odegaard is going to come on into the midfield, and Miles Lewis-Skelly is going to be introduced too, but they're coming on now with Arsenal 1-0 in front. Zinchenko and Tierney are the others who depart.
Yeah, it's going to put a completely different complexion on the game now. The quality of player coming on, really, really high level. Brentford now going to be on the back foot. They're going to have to react in a positive way. Just thinking about that goal and how well worked it was. They're the type of situations that you set up in training. You create games where you create 3v2s, and you know the players break forward, and then what you're looking for is the composure when they get into that final area. What's the way to pass like? What's the composure like? What's the finish like? You're not snatching at opportunities. You're playing the pass at the right time. You're releasing it at the right time, and Arsenal got that absolutely spot on there. It was a really, really top-class counter-attacking goal.
It was an excellent goal. Brentford are completely rattled by it. Sepp van den Berg, who had no opponent within 25 yards of him, has just needlessly headed the ball out for a corner here. He was trying to head it back to the goalkeeper. They've been rattled by that, Brentford. They really have. Brilliant goal from Arsenal, who have struggled to score in the Premier League in recent. No problem scoring in the Champions League. 12 goals in the last 3 Champions League games. But they have struggled to score in the Premier League, and that's what makes that all the more important. As the Arsenal fans sing their favourite song, they sing of 1-0 to the Arsenal. Declan Rice comes across to take the corner kick, but Odegaard, Saka and Lewis-Skelly on huge roar to greet Bukayo Saka back onto the pitch here. Started in the Champions League on Tuesday. That was his first start in over 100 days. Rice takes the corner, flicked onto the front post, but flicked over the crossbar. And that will be a goal kick to Brentford, who are 1-0 down here at the Emirates. Andy Reid.
Yeah, that cheer when Saka come on, it was really, really loud, and you can understand why. You know, from a selfish point of view, I'm really, really pleased that he's on the pitch to see what he can bring to this game. I love watching him play, how he goes past players. He's so positive in everything that he does. He always tries to take his man on. He can go inside, he can go outside. Final pass, final finish. There's so much to like about Bukayo Saka.
Yeah, Bukayo Saka, who hasn't started a Premier League game since before Christmas. If you look at the total number of Premier League minutes that Arsenal as a team have played this season, he's played in fewer than half of them, and yet he still has the most goal involvements. He's won more possession in the final third than any other Arsenal player this season, despite missing all those games. Lewis-Skelly tries to thunder forward down the left-hand side, and he's committed a foul trying to get past Nathan Collins. That's what that shouting in the background was all about. Thomas Partey's goal here is Arsenal in front against Brentford. Flecking the Brentford goalkeeper. What does Thomas Frank do here? His team have not been creating chances, and now they find themselves behind. It's a goal that might push back Liverpool's title celebrations. another week or so. If Arsenal win here, then the title won't be wrapped up for at least another 2 weeks. But this is Jorginho at the back for Arsenal. The question now feels, how many can they go on and score? Unless Brentford could surprise us all and get one back.
Yeah, but Brentford won't be too, they won't be too despondent while it's 1-0, because there's only a goal in it. You can get anything, a set piece. They're always in the game when it's 1-0. They just make sure they see through this period and they don't concede again.
Martinelli on the left-hand side gives it to Miles Lewis-Skelly. Infield to Jorginho, 20 yards outside the penalty area. Central location, back to Declan Rice, who played a huge part in providing the assist for the goal. And a good idea from Rice there. He wanted to scoop it in front of Martinelli, but he just didn't get his foot under the way he wanted, and it spun away from Martinelli and out for a goal kick to Brentford. But listen to the noise here. This is a party atmosphere to celebrate Thomas Partey's goal.
Yeah, it's incredible. Atmosphere really, really good. These Arsenal fans have come to life. Just, in that last attack there, the player that starts it off again is Jorginho. He's stepping on, he's winning that second ball, he's anticipating, he's in the right place at the right time to be able to dictate the play for Arsenal.
Here they come again. Declan Rice, so much energy, tries to run away from Norgard. Eventually the ball runs away from him and out for a throw-in to Brentford. That's been a good battle today, Norgard and Declan Rice. Surely there comes a point where Rice has to be wrapped in cotton wool ahead of Real Madrid. This is Jorginho. Back to Kivior, 10 yards inside his own half, into the feet of Martin Odegaard, who's hardly had a touch since coming on as a substitute. 66 minutes on the clock. Arsenal 1, Brentford 0. 5 live for the BBC. Coverage from the Masters to come later. More live football tomorrow with Liverpool against West Ham at 2 o'clock. Newcastle against Manchester United at 4:30. Eddie Howe won't be at that game. He's been taken ill. Our thoughts with him. You can also hear commentary of Chelsea against Ipswich on Sports Extra tomorrow, and Wolves against Spurs will be online via the BBC Sport website and app. Also tomorrow, the 4th race of the Formula 1 season, the Bahrain Grand Prix, will be live on Sports Extra. That is from 4 o'clock tomorrow. You can listen to qualifying right now on the BBC Sport website and app. 1-0 to Arsenal at the Emirates. And Brentford are now preparing to make a double change. Yarmouk, who started the last 2 games, is going to come on. And so too Michael Keown is going to come on, the Italian right-back who has made a few substitute appearances, yet to start a game in the Premier League. Mbumu just outside the penalty area for Brentford. Little no-look pass in front of Wissa. Across into the 6-yard box, but David Raya was able to receive.
Yeah, but it just goes to show you, it just takes that one moment, and as long as it's 1-0, Brentford are still in this game. They've got players that they've shown at different times throughout this game that they can hurt this Arsenal defence.
So Arsenal are going to make a change too. So a double change coming for Brentford, and Jurrien Timber is going to come on for the home team as well. A big week of European football to come. We will be in Madrid for Arsenal's quarter-final second leg in the Champions League. Also Aston Villa at home to Paris Saint-Germain. Much work to do after losing the first leg by 3-1. Plus on Thursday, Manchester United will be home to Lyon in the Europa League quarter-final second leg. That one's still in the balance, 2-2 after the 2 late goals in Eastern France on Thursday. But you can listen to all of those games. Arsenal at Madrid, Villa at home to Paris Saint-Germain, and Manchester United at home to Lyon. All of them full commentary on 5 Live in the coming week.
Some good games there, isn't there? Some of them European games have been really, really high quality.
And so Thomas Partey is the player who's been replaced by Jurrien Timber. So that's a straight swap. Partey, who was playing at right back, and the Dutchman, that is his natural habitat. And it's Yarmouk and Keown who's come on for Brentford. Midway through the second half, Raya stands with the ball at his feet, just inside the Arsenal penalty area. Away to our right-hand side, we're watching from the top gantry here at the Emirates. Great view down onto the pitch. So television camera goes whirring across on a little trail down below us. Saka gives the ball back to Saliba, back to Saka again. Little buzzer on the stadium whenever Saka's on the ball. Here is Odegaard just outside the penalty area. No room for a shot, so he manoeuvres over to his left-hand side. Gives it back to Miles Lewis-Skelly. Now Jorginho, 10 yards outside the penalty area. Passes out wide to the left wing to Martinelli. Martinelli up against Keown. He's just going to bring it to the byline. Martinelli, good defending from the youngster who's just come on. And Brentford regained possession, but they're back in their own right full-back position. It's a long way from there up to David Raya's goal down the other end of the pitch. But Brentford are going to try and play their way through the Arsenal press, which is an easier thing to say than to do. And Arsenal ensure that they don't get out. It will be a throw into Brentford, but they are still back in their right full-back position.
Good pressing from Arsenal there. They're really kind of going for the jugular now. They're going on the front foot. They don't want to give Brentford a second to kind of get back into this game, so they're really pressing high and getting after them in that top area.
Kiwior wins a header on the halfway line, jumping much taller than Mbeumo. Saliba here will turn and roll the ball back to David Raya. So after going to Madrid in midweek, Arsenal's next Premier League game is away at Ipswich. That is a Sunday game next weekend, and after that Arsenal will have just 5 more Premier League games remaining this season. Throw in for Brentford on the far side. Lewis Potter takes it. Oh, that wasn't a good option. Throw it into Yarmulke, who has been man-marked by Odegaard. Then a disappointing pass by Declan Rice brings groans from the crowd, and Brentford regain possession once again. They play it out to the right wing. Brian Mbeumo. Quiote's made a great run ahead of him. He tried to give it to the Italian youngster, but well cut out by Miles Lewis-Skelly, and Arsenal get it back again.
I think that was a bit of a missed opportunity there. A poor pass, and it could have got in. There was an opportunity. There was a good forward run. Pass was poor from Mbeumo. They're going to have to make the most of them opportunities when they get them, because there hasn't been loads of them in this game for Brentford.
Arsenal have only kept 1 clean sheet in their last 6 Premier League home games here. That was when they beat Chelsea last month. Can they keep the clean sheet today? Are they going to need a second goal to secure this Premier League victory that they hope is coming their way? This is Miles Lewis-Skelly midway inside Brentford territory. Gives it to Martinelli on the left-hand side. Brentford all housed on the edge of their own penalty area, trying to keep Arsenal at bay here. It's been difficult for Thomas Frank's team to counter-attack throughout the day. They did one brilliant counter-attacking movement in the first half, created a chance for Christopher Ayer. And actually, when I think back on that, Andy, that was almost a carbon copy of the goal that then Thomas Partey scored. You know, again, the right back charging forward. It didn't go in for Brentford. It did go in for Arsenal, and that's kind of been the difference. Here's Saka, wriggling, jiggling inside the penalty areas. He's so good at doing, so difficult to get the ball off him. Brentford clear it up, but not away. Wissam misses the header on the edge of his own penalty area. Might have come off the arm of Jorginho. Play answers the referee anyway, and Mbeumo's charging forward. Now, this is a counter-attacking opportunity. Into the penalty area. Brian Mbeumo, blocked by Lewis-Skelly, who made up great ground to get back there. Mbeumo was trying to pass it in for Damsgaard, and after running so hard to get there, he couldn't complete the pass corner to Brentford.
Yeah, that's 2 opportunities that Mbeumo's had there to try and pick out a Brentford player, and he hasn't been able to do it. He tried to play it squared across the box, and I just felt that it was a cutback that was needed. If he cut it back to Damsgaard, he could have got an opportunity. But that looked dangerous for Brentford there, and it just shows that they can hurt Arsenal.
It's another reminder that this is not over yet. There are 17 minutes of normal time remaining. Corner to Brentford on the right-hand side. Arsenal 1, Brentford 0. Mbeumo stands, hands on hips, waits for the referee's instruction to take it. Simon Hooper in charge today. A reminder that Match of the Day is at 10:20 tonight on BBC One to watch the highlights of all today's Premier League games. Mbeumo swings it in, brave header from Declan Rice to clear it back outside the penalty area. Falls for Yarmulke. He'll give it back out to the corner kick taker Mbeumo. Nicely worked for Quiote. Into the penalty area. Stabs it towards the back post. Collins nods it down. Wissa! It's in! It's an equaliser! Brentford have got their first shot on target of the second half, and they've taken it! Yoane Wissa! 4 goals now in his last 7 Premier League games. That was really well worked. Quiote to the back post. Collins won the header down, and then a swivel, almost the full 360-degree swivel from Wissa to then guide the ball in from close range. Arsenal's lead is gone. Arsenal 1, Brentford 1.
Yeah, that was really well worked. Arsenal never got it clear from the corner. Brentford worked it really, really well. Overlapping run from Quiote. He stood it up brilliantly. As you get to the byline, you always say players stand it up towards the back post. Arsenal still had the big centre-back, Nathan Collins, up from that corner. He headed it back, and Wissa he's done brilliantly well to swivel and hit it on the volley, and no Arsenal player could get anywhere near him. And we said that As long as it's 1-0, Brentford is still in the game. As dominant as Arsenal were over the last 15 or 20 minutes, as long as it's 1-0, you're still in the game.
What a season he's having, Johan Wissa. That's his 16th goal of the campaign. Brentford's record Premier League goal scorer does it again. Right, Mikel Arteta has decided the time has come to rest Declan Rice. He's been taken off. Mikel Merino comes on in his place. So Arsenal looking for a focal point in the attack. They don't have any fit centre forwards these days, but Mikel Merino's been operating in that central attacking position in recent, well, it's months now, isn't it? And he comes on to lead the line as Arsenal look to take the lead again, but 1-1 for now.
Yeah, he's done brilliantly well at playing up there. He's led the line exceptionally well.
Oh, mistake by the keeper, Flecken. Saka could be in for Arsenal, just couldn't pull the trigger. He did so well to create the chance, but then as he tried to shoot, young Coyote got back and was able to just deny him the space that was needed. But Saka nearly poached one there.
Wow, Flecken is the most relieved man in this stadium. He's tried to take a touch too many, and Saka is nipped in, and I just felt after he took his first touch, the second touch, he should have got a shot off. He decided to take a third touch, and that allowed the Brentford defenders to get back in. But that was a massive opportunity.
Big let-off for Brentford there. Flecken, who was right on the edge of his penalty area, so he couldn't catch it. He tried to control with his feet, and that's what allowed Saka to then come in and nick it off him.
Yeah, but just clear it away.
Yeah, just get rid of it. Here comes the delivery. Trossard's corner, headed by Norgard to the front post. Jorginho, foot on the volley, up over the top. Now that would have been spectacular if it went in. He's a good 5 yards outside the penalty area, dropped down from a height, and he put the laces through it before it hit the ground, but it was well over the crossbar.
Yeah, with the game he's having, you can't blame him for taking on it. He's been brilliant today, I have to say. He's probably been one of, if not the best player on the pitch today. The way he's dictated the play, he's linked the play, how he's anticipated, won all the second balls. Defended really well, cut off passing lanes. He's played really well today.
He has never scored a Premier League goal for Arsenal, Jorginho. Scorer of a few penalties in the Champions League for them, scorer plenty Premier League goals in his Chelsea days, but he's not scored in Arsenal colours yet. 1-1 here with a quarter of an hour to go. Arsenal on the attack will go to the Rugby League in just a moment. Challenged by Yarmouk to take down Merino, and that is a yellow card for him. And concern for Arsenal because Merino is holding his ankle while they assess the severity of that. Let's go to Warrington Wolves against Hull FC, and here's Ian Chisnell.
Third Warrington try came just after the hour. A flying effort from Matty Ashton. It is Warrington Wolves 12, Hull 26. There are just 15 minutes left. Too little too late, I fear.
Thanks very much, Ian. Well, Arsenal thought that they might have been on their way to a win here before that equaliser from Wissa. Arsenal 1, Brentford 1. The scoreline here. Good news for Arsenal fans that Merino's back up after that knock. But that's the sort of thing Arsenal really don't want to happen today. One of their starters for the Champions League quarter-final second leg to pick up an injury today. That would be a real disappointment for Mikel Arteta. Jorginho in possession. Tries to hook one into the penalty area. Too high for Martinelli. Coyote's back there. Good shielding from him. And out it goes for a goal kick to Brentford. 12 minutes of normal time to play.
He's been excellent since he come on.
Yeah,
Coyote.
really good.
He really has. He's defended really, really well. He's used his pace going forward. He's burst forward a couple of times and put in a brilliant delivery for the goal where Nathan Collins nodded it back across goal.
Joined from Italian football from Fiorentina in the January window, Michael Coyote. He won the Tuttosport Best Italian Player Under 21 award last season, but then he fell out of favour at Fiorentina. He only played 12 matches this season. That's why he wanted to move, and he joins Brentford and now getting his chance in the Premier League. But he looks a talent, that's for sure.
He's only 20 as well.
Yep, 20 years of age. Scored Italy's winner in the Under-19 Euros final 2 years ago. Another change coming here. It's going to be Jensen who comes on for Brentford. Matthias Jensen, who's never been on the winning side against Arsenal in his career. He's going to come on in place of Damsgaard, who's not been able to really show the best of what he can do today, because it's been a day when the Brentford midfielders have had to defend, and his talents lie further up the pitch.
He's done a brilliant job for the team, though. He's done exactly what he's needed to do. He'll be coming off thinking, I wish I could have got on the ball a little bit more. he wishes he could have had the opportunity to be more creative, but he's done a really, really good job for his team there today.
Yeah, did what he needed to do. Perhaps didn't get the opportunity to do what he wanted to do a little bit more, but that's what playing against Arsenal can do to teams. And well, ask Real Madrid all about it from events here on Tuesday. 10 minutes to play at the Emirates. Saliba's played a good ball forward here, controlled miraculously by Odegaard, and can he set up Saka? The shot is blocked by Norgard. That was very eye-catching from Arsenal. Miles Lewis-Skelly's looking to keep the attack alive. Gives it to Martinelli on the left-hand side. His feet gave away from under him. He wasn't fouled. He slipped in the penalty area, and that chance goes away. And Coyote, who's brimming with confidence, tries to dribble it out from the back, and he's fouled by Trossard. Free kick to Brentford.
That opportunity came from the bits that we've spoken about 3 or 4 times, where the Brentford centre-backs have been pulled into the middle of the pitch, and they leave a big hole right in the centre where the centre-back should be. Now, Odegaard then makes a late run into that space, and there's a long straight ball in there, and then he pulled it down brilliantly well and set up Saka. It ended up being a really good block, but they're the ones that when you see Saka step up to them positions, you're almost waiting on the back of the net to bulge.
1-1 here, which is good news for any Liverpool fans who are tuning in. So just to remind everyone of the permutations here, if this does finish as a draw, if, and I know it's a big if, but if Arsenal were to lose at Ipswich next Sunday, and if Liverpool were to win their next 2 games, then the title would be decided as early as next week. Throw in for Brentford. Keane Lewis-Potter to take it. Looking for Kevin Shade, throws the ball straight to Saliba, but Saliba, perhaps surprised to get it so easily, then gives it away, and then Saka's back defending. Flag is raised here. Brentford are offside. It's going to be a free kick to Arsenal anyway.
I wonder what Arsenal will have up the sleeve for the last kind of 10 or so minutes. Whatever's added on as well by the referee. Brentford will be reasonably pleased with the, well, they'll be very pleased with the work. In fact, I think they've defended the box really, really well. They haven't had as many opportunities as they would like, but that happens when you come to the Emirates, and I think they've held their shape really well. It's been a real workmanlike performance from them, a real organised performance from them, and something you come to expect when you watch Brentford play.
And you know, it's a day that, for me, it's been a bit of a microcosm of Arsenal's season as a whole. Some of what they've done has been absolutely brilliant today, and yet you can see the weak points, that they haven't turned all that possession, all those chances into goals. If it stays like this, it'll be a 12th Premier League draw this season. That's more than any other team in the top 8. That's been Arsenal's problem, you know, seeing it out, getting those winning goals. Back to the Halliwell-Jones Stadium in Ian Chisnell.
10 minutes to go and only 10 between them. Matty Ashton's second try in virtually as many minutes. 2 wide out for Mark Sneyd to add it on. It's Warrington Wolves 16, Hull 26.
Thanks very much, Ian. As Arsenal have possession here on the halfway line of the Emirates, and we've got 7.5 minutes of normal time to play. It's whipped out towards Martinelli on the left-hand side. That'll be a throw-in to Arsenal. All 7 episodes of the Bloodgate story on the Sport Changes Crimes feed are available on BBC Sounds at the moment. Ross Kemp and Chris Jones examine one of the most controversial incidents in modern rugby union. And available right now at BBC Sounds, a special edition of the Football Daily featuring an in-depth interview with Nottingham Forest Anthony Elanga. Groans from Arsenal as another ball towards Martinelli goes astray, and out it goes for a throw-in to Brentford. Andy Reid.
Yeah, that was sloppy play there. It was completely unnecessary. It was a simple pass out to Martinelli. Let him go 1v1. It's just passed it straight out of play.
Now, in this game last season, it was level late on, and then in the 86th minute, Kai Havertz came up with a winner for Arsenal against Brentford. We're now in the 84th minute. Odegaard flicks it on to Bukayo Saka, on to Trossard. Oh, it's a good idea. He wanted to reverse it into the path of Martinelli there, but just couldn't get the pass through the heavy traffic. Wissa picks up the loose ball for Brentford. He sets off over the halfway line. Marino trying to keep up with him. Little nutmeg by Wissa on Marino. Wissa goes down claiming he was tripped there. Referee gives him a shrug and says, no, you weren't. Play on. Arsenal recapture possession.
Yeah, I don't think it's a free kick. I think the ball's got away from him and he's just dived on the ground.
Oh, what's happened here with Jorginho? Wissa, who was the player complaining that he should have had a free kick, was standing right beside Jorginho, and Jorginho has now dramatically fallen onto the ground. The referee, I don't think, saw that. I'm not quite sure what's happened there, but Jorginho has just fallen down onto the ground and is holding his chest. So Wissa, as we said, he tried to nutmeg Marino, and then he claimed he was fouled as he was, hit the ground trying to run past him. Referee says no, play on. Wissa ran across, and he does nothing to Jorginho. I've just seen the replay. That's strange. Jorginho's just gone down, which is almost sort of more worrying. There was no one near the Italian international, and he just lies down on the ground, and he's holding his chest.
Yeah, it doesn't look great, that, does it?
Well, immediately the medical attention was rushed out towards him, and it's good to say that he is now sitting up and he's leaning forward, sort of like one of those, as if he's been winded or something kind of but he's obviously felt something in his chest, and I bet you they won't mess around with this. They'll take a precaution as Jorginho is helped to the side of the field. Arteta's already made a whole host of substitutes. He's brought on Lewis Skelly and Marino and Saka and Timber, but Jorginho being helped off the field here. Well, look, he's walking, so we'll say that, but that's an unusual one. You don't see that very often.
Yeah, he's gone straight up the tunnel as well. He's walking quite gingerly. Keep close eye on that and see how that one plays out, and hopefully he's okay.
By the way, 15 minutes to go in Rugby Union's Champions Cup. You can listen to coverage of this on Sports Extra right now. Northampton leading Castor by 41 points to 16. Closing stages of that available on Sports Extra. So Jorginho has gone off, and Arsenal haven't been able to bring on a replacement. And Mikel Arteta's team are set to finish this game with 10 men, it would appear. There's only 4 minutes left to go. But yeah, they've already made the 5 subs of Arsenal. And that's just changed the mood a little bit in here. Arsenal, who had taken the lead today, we're getting to see a replay from an earlier incident. Now, he recovered from this at the time, but there was an incident when Jorginho was challenging for a high ball up against Mbumu, and he fell awkwardly. So maybe that was part of that. Maybe he's hurt something there, and he's just felt a repercussion of it later on. But anyway, he has gone off, and he'll be receiving treatment down in the dressing room area here at the Emirates. 1-1 at the moment. 3 minutes of normal time to play on 5 Live in Sport on BBC Sounds.
It's going to be interesting to see the Arsenal mentality now. A man down, how much are they going to push forward? How many men are they going to commit forward? Are they going to leave themselves a little bit exposed at the back?
Free kick to Arsenal, 10 yards outside the penalty area, left-hand side as they come forward. Odegaard and Trossard both standing over it. Can Arsenal deliver another set-piece goal on what has been a famous week for set-piece goals for the club? 1-1 here against Brentford. Brentford has got everyone back defending this. Odegaard raises an arm as a signal, and he does take it, and it's whipped in dangerously, and Marino got his head, but he couldn't get it on target. Goal kick to Brentford. He's so good in the air in those free kick situations, Mikel Marino.
Yeah, he times his run really well, and he's aggressive to go and head it. He gets decent contact on it. It was a good ball from Odegaard. Probably just felt by the time Marino was heading it that he was too far out to be able to trouble Flecken's goal. He couldn't quite get it on target.
6:06 coming up with Robbie and Chris very shortly here on 5 Live. Tomorrow, Steve Crossman hosts Premier League Sunday. All the Premier League action, including the Formula 1 Grand Prix as well. That's a 4 o'clock start tomorrow. You can listen on Sports Extra. Later on tonight, of course, Mark Chapman and Ian Carter and the team in Augusta for the Masters. And the third round there with a star-packed leaderboard. That's going to be a great listen tonight. They'll start their coverage on Sports Extra during 6:06, but after Robbie and Chris, they will be live with the golf here on 5 Live. Right, Andy Reid, 90 seconds to go. Is there a late goal in this one, do you think?
Yeah, there could be. I mean, like we spoke about Arsenal's mentality going a man down, but you see Nathan Collins there striding 80 yards with the ball, so Brentford are sensing that there could be a winner in it for them.
Brentford have possession, playing against 10. Collins to Norgard, a direct ball over the top. He's trying to get in there on the back of Miles Lewis Skelly. It's a brilliant first touch by Mbumu to control. He's got Wissa with him. Jensen's shouting for it on the edge of the D. It comes to the feet of Matthias Jensen. Slips though, doesn't have the right studs on. Went down as Arsenal win it back again. And here's Saka. Chance to stretch his legs. Good defending by Sepp Vandenberg. You don't want to let Bukayo Saka get up ahead of steam. And he lunged in early to put the ball out for a throw.
Yeah, he's done well, Vandenberg, because just looked like Saka was getting into a stride, and if he had got past him, it could have spelled danger for Brentford. So he's taken no chances, and he's played that ball out play. And just looking at Arsenal here, they're taking the free kick, they're taking the throw in here, but they don't look like they're in a massive rush, you know.
No, Arsenal, given the way they're finishing this game at 10, they will waste time now. The urgency to go and win it decreases. Brentford almost to rub in the fact that Arsenal can't make a late sub here. They are going to make a late substitution. Gustavo Nunes is going to come on for his Brentford debut. He's a teenager who's been injured with a back injury, but he's finally going to get to make his bow here. Thomas Frank, this is an opportunity. It'll be interesting to see how many minutes are added on for stoppages as Brentford come forward. Arsenal have suddenly had to change it. Now this is good preparation for Madrid in midweek. Now they're back defending as Keane Lewis-Potter comes forward for Brentford wearing a dark green shirt down the left hand side. We are into 6 minutes that have been added on for stoppages. That's plenty time to score in the Premier League. Collins has it, midway inside Arsenal territory. Liverpool fans from afar will be screaming at their radios for Brentford to grab a goal here. As Mbeumo plays it into the penalty area, just too high for Lewis-Potter at the back post. And out that goes for a goal kick to Arsenal. 1-1.
Yeah, it was just behind Lewis-Potter. He couldn't quite manoeuvre himself. He couldn't quite get his body position right to be able to get any contact on the ball there. I think Mbeumo would be disappointed with his cross. He should have looked to feed that in towards the back post. It was too far out.
So it's Norgard who goes off. Christian Norgard, who's played very well in the midfield today. On comes Gustavo Nunes, this 19-year-old. He is an attacker. Let's see what he can do. As David Raya is taking as long as he dares with this goal kick. Of course he doesn't want to get booked, but he's going to bend the law as long as he can here. Already one of the 6 minutes has expired at the Emirates. If you're joining our coverage late here, Arsenal had a disallowed goal in the first half. They took the lead in the second half through Thomas Partey, a quite brilliant goal actually. But Brentford never allowed their heads to drop, never gave up. They've been able to battle back to make it 1-1. And now Arsenal finishing the game at 10 men after Jorginho was forced to go off injured after Mikel Arteta had made all of his substitutes. Here is Odegaard nearly giving the ball away in the midfield, but getting it back again. Can the 10 men of Arsenal produce a winner here? They certainly can with Bukayo Saka on the field. He gives it back into Odegaard. Wonderful way to the pass to return it to Saka. Low ball in, and Van der Berg is able to clear away for Brentford. Only as far as Odegaard once again. So Arsenal will remain on the attack. No one's heading for the exits early. My eyes scanning around the stadium. Everyone's in their seats. This is Marino, just outside the edge of the penalty area. Tries to scoop it forward. A little header there by Gustavo Nunes to try and clear, but he can't get any purchase on it. And here come Arsenal again. Odegaard, fresh legs, having come off the bench late in the second half here, has done well against Jensen. The crowd urge him to shoot, but he gives it to Martinelli in the penalty area. Gabriel Martinelli, no room to shoot. Kivior tries to strike one, too many bodies in the way. Looks like it's going to break down for Arsenal here, but they battle and they try to keep it alive. And now Coyote has it, the right back for Brentford, and he's a real breath of fresh air, this kid. Look at him, no fear as he takes on Martinelli and tries to launch a ball ahead of Mbeumo, which is cut out by Lewis Skelly. It's become an exciting end to the game here. Arsenal 1, Brentford 1. We've still got 3.5 minutes of stoppages to go.
Yeah, there's loads of space on the pitch now, gaps opening up everywhere. It's end to end, both teams feeling that they can get a winner here, but it's Arsenal at the moment that are looking the most likely with 10 men.
Trossard just outside the penalty area on the left hand side, gives it to Lewis Skelly, had to stretch and couldn't get there. Wissa should have cleared but wasn't able to. This is Trossard, back into Kivior, back to Trossard, now to Odegaard just outside the tee of the penalty area. Little drag back of the studs, defenders being twisted one way and then the other. Now Bukayo Saka takes over, steadies himself, looks like he wanted to shoot, didn't have the right angle though. Still he goes Saka, beyond two defenders, beyond a third defender. Jensen, this is brilliant from Saka, and then he's low. Oh, it's come back to him again. Saka, tight angled, gives it in low, and Collins with a very important block for Brentford. It's a thrilling end to this game. 10 men Arsenal really believing they can go and win it, and Odegaard is going to get a yellow card here. He fouled Shada off the ball. Odegaard trying to ensure that Shada didn't counter-attack there. That's a free kick to Brentford. It's a yellow card to Martin Odegaard.
Yeah, brilliant end to this game. Really, really exciting. That play from Saka there was simply incredible. He must have ghosted past 5 or 6 players. He beat a couple of them twice. He crossed the ball in, and you think the moment is gone, and then it pops back to him again. He takes another touch. Arsenal just can't get enough numbers in the box to be able to make it pay.
4 minutes of stoppages have expired. 2 still to go. 5 live at BBC Sounds. The Premier League's Saturday tea time kickoff in the Premier League has almost come to a halt. 1-1 here as Jensen plays it forward for Brentford. 11 men playing 10. Saliba allows it to bounce because he knew that Raya was going to get there. There wasn't an awful lot in it, mind you, with Gustavo Nunes prowling on, but Raya did get to the ball first. Bowls it out underarm to his fellow Spanish international, Mikel Merino. Turns away from Wissa expertly there, Merino. That was real class. I mean, the ultimate credit you pay to Arsenal here is if you didn't know they were down to 10 men, you'd never tell. There isn't that gulf between the teams. Here is Miles Lewis-Skelly up from left back, almost in the penalty area. Feeds Martinelli. Cross comes in, comes off Collins. Could have been an own goal saved by Flecken.
Wow, that could have gone anywhere, that, and now it's Brentford coming up the other end.
Flecken plays it to Wissa, and how Wissa's control that, and then straight away sliding in to get possession was Jurriën Timber, and Arsenal keep it in play, but they're back in the right full-back position. Wissa hobbling, clearly picked up a knock there, but play continues, and we are into the final minute of stoppages here in this Premier League game at 1-1.
Is there one more chance for one of these sides to get a winner?
Odegaard on the halfway line, rolls it to the feet of Trossard inside Brentford territory, running his way towards the Brentford penalty area. Jensen standing way off him, doesn't want to lunge in. Merino gets a touch, back to Miles Lewis-Skelly, infield to Kivior. Now Saka on the edge of the penalty area has been allowed to turn. That's always dangerous. Saka shoots, and how many times have we seen him put it into the bottom corner? This one goes agonisingly wide for Arsenal. Was that the last chance of the game?
Yeah, I think that was the moment. We've seen Saka do it so many times. You know, as a coach or a manager, you're saying to the defender, show him outside on his right foot, but it's a lot easier said than done. Saka drops the shoulder, dips back inside, and he just tries to whip it into that far corner, and it just drifts agonisingly wide of that outside post.
Well, when Brentford came up to the Premier League in 2021, when David Raya was their goalkeeper, their opening night in the Premier League was a win against Arsenal. That's been their only league win against Arsenal in 87 years. As this game finishes in a draw, it's another draw for Arsenal. That makes it 12 Premier League draws this season. Brentford, who remain a very difficult team to beat, especially on the travels. Will they be happier with this point than their hosts? Because this is another nail in the coffin for Arsenal's Premier League title ambitions. It is another 2 points left behind. It is a day that Liverpool creep ever closer to the Premier League title, the title which could be decided now as early as next week. Back-to-back draws for Arsenal. Mikel Arteta's team, who've now finished level, what is it now, 5 in their last 8 games, something like that in the league. All these points dropped are seeing their title chance evaporate away. Good exciting finish though to this one, and good goals too today, Andy Reid.
Yeah, the goals were good, and I have to say I enjoyed the game. I know there wasn't as many clear-cut opportunities as we would have liked, and possibly would have liked to see more goals, but there was some really good tactical play in there, really good passages of play from Arsenal, particularly in the second half where they worked the ball really well, just didn't have enough kind of cutting edge in that last little bit there, and Brentford kept Arsenal on their toes. They kept them honest, they walked them all the way to the end, and as long as it's only 1-0, there's only a goal in it, then they're still in that game, and they never gave up and they kept going, and Thomas Frank will be delighted with his players. I don't think that Arsenal will be too disappointed with the performance, but they'll be disappointed with that result.
Well, you could tell as soon as the team sheets came out that this is no longer the top priority for Mikel Arteta. 5 changes meant that he was keeping his eye on midweek and keeping his eye on events of the Champions League, where Arsenal hold a 3-0 advantage over Real Madrid, hoping to get into the semi-final of that competition. 1-1 it finishes here on 5 Live.